Hate that song.
I don't even know what it is.
Oh, no, don't
hit and record.
Don't look it up.
All right. On it.
Or do look it up, and then you can be in misery with the rest of us. I'll do 30 and 35.
Hell yeah.
I think my mic might be a little bit hot.
That would make sense.
See if that's better.
Hot mic baby tonight. I want a hot mic baby.
It's too bad we don't release the show on Mondays, so we can't call it Hot Mic Mondays.
Ain't nothing stopping us from putting out Monday to make that pun.
It's not worth it.
Vice's legal team hunting us down.
Oh, right. That's right. They did Hot Mic Mornings, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was Hot Mic Morning, so maybe we could get away with Hot Mic Mondays. It is similar but legally distinct.
It's the way I live my life.
It is not a morning show. It is not a. I guess some of us do record in the morning. But
Some of us do.
different structure. All right. Are we ready?
Light this candle to clear out the farts.
I bought some candles and tell me why.
One of my friends yesterday said, God, I farted so much into my chair. The smell is just permanent now. Oh, God.
It's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
That's cold open right there, baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't let Pat say my friend said. You just have Pat saying I farted so much into my chair.
That's fine. It's
No,
probably applicable to me, too. I just don't get down and sniff my chair, which that person's a weirdo.
It's okay. I can do some creative editing with lighting a candle and then
They don't listen to the show, and I didn't name them, so it's safe.
All right. Well. Hello and welcome to episode 136 of the Gaming Fyx podcast on August 29th, 2020. I'm your host, Andre Cole, aka your partner's favorite foolish samurai warrior wielding a magic sword. I am joined today by Alex.
oh man. Now I'm having to remember samurai warriors and all that comes to mind are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I'll accept it. Which one are you?
Probably Raphael.
Okay. You're cool but rude.
Exactly.
I don't know if you're rude, but okay. And Pat.
I was not prepared for that samurai thing. That like blew my mind, and it's way too early for that.
You know, that blew your mind just like Aku, the shape-shifting master of evil, blew Samurai Jack backward in time.
Okay.
Or no, forward in time.
I didn't
into
make
a future that is Aku.
I didn't make the Samurai Jack association because I was having a hard time processing what you were saying. So now it makes a lot more sense.
I could see it on your face as I said it.
I have watched
your
many hours of Samurai Jack multiple times, so it's not like I'm some kind of, you know, I don't know what the word is for people who haven't watched Samurai Jack.
Which Powerpuff Girl would be the most powerful of samurai?
I don't remember their names.
Bubbles.
Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup, baby.
Yeah,
I was Bubbles for Halloween when I was 15.
So the answer
but I was
then,
alone. No one wanted to be a Powerpuff Girl with me.
I would have been a
And so
Powerpuff Girl with you.
My best friend's sister made me a costume.
I was
wore it to school.
I was more of a Dexter's Lab kid.
Okay. Yeah, I like Dexter's
But
Lab.
in retrospect, Dexter's Lab's kind of fucked up. So
Got the human bullet. I want a Avengers style service game, but about the Justice Friends from Dexter's Lab.
So I wanted about the Cartoon Network just general cast.
Yeah, totally.
Sure,
I was gonna say
characters.
that plus
Like,
Nickelodeon.
give me Courage and the Powerpuff Girls and Dexter's Lab.
I spent
Arnold from Hey Arnold and Doug. Not Quail Man.
I'm not sure
just
I'm interested in their
Doug.
combat capabilities, if I'm being honest.
What Skeeter?
I don't think Skeeter would participate in that kind of combat.
He'd be a support character and he'd honk and
yes, yeah, he'd be like a
untitled Skeeter game.
Oh, no.
It is really wild that we have gone the last 10 years without somebody saying, what we should do is make a Doug video game. Because that would rule. Like, how did Telltale not make a Doug video game?
Because I don't know. That's a good question.
It just seems like a missed opportunity.
Sure.
I'm thinking of like an adventure game, but it's like you can like drive around and stuff. I mean, I understand that Doug's a child, but it's like maybe it's like
like skateboard around. Maybe or something.
And maybe he's like 16, so part of the game is that he just got his driver's license. I don't know.
What would
you steal a car?
What would Doug's alt be?
Wait, his alt?
Well, he's got Quail Man. What do you mean?
Oh,
I guess that could be an alt.
Alt?
Yeah, like an ultimate ability.
I thought you meant like alt. Like
I'm thinking like
that also works.
This is free, Nickelodeon. I'm thinking a game like Simpsons Hit and Run, but slightly less absurd. So like not as like off the wall goofy. Still a little goofy because it's based on a cartoon, but a little more like that mixed with Telltale Sam and Max is kind of where I'm thinking. Structure of Simpsons Hit and Run, but instead of having platforming and combat stuff, you do like adventure game puzzles and dialogue options.
I spent a lot of time as a kid playing like the Cartoon Network like online video games. They had like the Flash games. They had one that was, they had a few that were like all the characters that you know and love on like an island or at a resort or something. And then you have to go around and just do quests, and then you're getting items, and then you have to trade items like between everyone.
They had a service game, didn't they?
I don't
they
think
had like a
real.
Flash service game that was like
maybe
you like battled. It was kind of like Neopets, where you had like a stable of characters, and also kind of like Hearthstone. I gotta remember what that thing was. There was it definitely existed, but I don't remember if it was as gamey as I'm remembering it, or if it was just like a social media thing. But there was definitely this thing where, because I remember I would log in all the time, and you would collect characters, and you got new stuff by playing their other games too. That was on the Cartoon Network thing. Anyway, I'll do some research and we'll come back. It was really, really cool.
Thinking about the demise of Flash in the coming months, and I don't know, that kind of stuff has me thinking about those games. Like maybe I should go back and play those really bad Cartoon Network Flash games.
Yeah.
Because nostalgia, that's a hell of a drug. But since we're on this topic, I brought us here already. I'm going to go first this week, which I don't normally do, because
we don't have a guest. So
there is a new. What if we did have a guest, and this entire time they have been sitting quietly?
Oh my God, that's Dave Makes Music. I'm just saying that because that's the next goal. So we got to get Dave Makes on the show.
You can't hear me. It's John Cena.
Oh, wow. I guess John Cena is here. That's amazing.
That's we can't see him or hear him.
He's not even in the Zoom call. That's the next level of guest appearances. Thank you, John Cena.
Yep. But this week I've got speaking of Cartoon Network licensed games. This one is not made in Flash, and I wouldn't say it's bad. Samurai Jack: Battle Through Time.
Yeah, I gotta check that out. That thing looks cool.
It's neat. I mean, it's very like big PS2 energy. It is definitely a licensed game based on a children's cartoon property. but it seems pretty solid. It's got all the original voice actors. I don't know if did the creator die? Someone died, but I think like all the voice actors are there, and it is continuing the story of Samurai Jack from where it left off.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Was there a movie? I don't remember.
There was, yeah. I think they did a couple of movies.
Well, yeah. So I think whatever the last thing they did, this like continues from there, I believe, because there's like a character who I don't know about, and because I didn't see the movies, and maybe Jack. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so the game starts, and it actually starts with the Samurai Jack intro, which is cool, like the original intro.
That's really cool. That's
like it's not up-resed or it's 4:3. It's the same art. It's just the exact like television intro.
Yeah,
and then it goes into like a high def, like animated cutscene, and then once you get into gameplay, then it's like a 3D type, you know, anime or cartoon in a 3D style thing. You can probably picture exactly what it looks like. And then it's like just a third person hack 'em slash 'em beat 'em up type thing. You're running around, you're slicing and dicing enemies, robots, monsters, everything that you might expect to see. It's kind of doing like a Samurai Jack greatest hits. You're running into characters from the cartoon.
Yeah,
Scotsman
that makes
sense. The Rothschild, the dog.
Yeah,
you know, who's got like a British accent and like wears a monocle. If you remember him. I'm not super far in, but it's pretty fun. It's got a surprisingly large combat or skill tree. It's like 3 different trees and tons of upgrades through it. So, and like they're actual substantial, like, okay, you're going to use this to increase your parry ability, like to increase what you can do off of a parry. It's not just increase your health or increase your damage. You're actually doing stuff with these abilities that you're unlocking.
That's cool.
Yeah. There's like you can get different weapon types. Like so the sword you always have, but then you can get items or weapons like bamboo pole that have like a limited durability, but they are good for taking on different types of enemies. You've got throwing weapons, various skills like you can light your sword on fire, stuff like that. And where's my trade? Oh, when you take damage, it's pretty cool. Your gi will like get torn up, and the more damage you take, the more damage it takes.
Oh, gi. Sorry, I thought you meant like clarified butter.
No.
Okay. Sorry, please continue.
I don't think there is any gi clarified butter in Samurai Jack Battle Through Time. If it's butter for the soul. If you are a fan of Samurai Jack, it seems like a cool thing.
I am a fan of Samurai Jack.
It's $40 on. I think it's $40 on like PC and console, but it is on Apple Arcade if you've got.
Oh, that is awesome! I will totally check that out on Apple Arcade. That's really cool.
Do you think it would work well with a touch screen or with a touch device?
It would function, though. I would say
play it with a controller.
Connect a controller.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I've been playing it on my MacBook that I bought, and
I will probably try it on my phone with a controller. I have a mountable, a PS4 controller with like a mount on it for phones. So
that seems like a good way to play that game. Just like you can knock out a little bit. I don't know how long it is. But like for digestible Samurai Jack, to hear those voices, to see those characters.
That's really cool. That's really what I'm interested in. I'm not really that, like, from a game perspective, I'm sure it's a fairly, I don't want to say generic, but I'm sure it is an action game. But I would love to hear and see those characters again. And the only thing is I don't remember what happens at the end of Samurai Jack because it's been so long since I've watched it. So. I haven't like gone back to look at anything, but it picks up in like the end of a fight. A both nice and sad thing about Samurai Jack is there isn't that much of it that exists. So
like 5 seasons.
Yeah, but it's like 5 seasons of half-hour episodes. So it's like you can watch all of Samurai Jack in under 10 hours.
Yeah. Samurai Jack occupies a same space for like Batman the Animated Series for me, where it's like very comforting because like the shows are like very mellow, even though they've got like a lot of combat. It's like for the most part pretty like laid back and like very soothing, calm.
They're not that far apart in time, but I think Samurai Jack fulfilled a lot of the stuff for me that Avatar did for a lot of people just like a little bit younger than me. And I love Avatar too, so I'm not like saying that that it's that one is better or more important than the other, but for me Samurai Jack had that kind of like, it has some politics in there and it has some interesting concepts that as a kid I really wasn't thinking about until I saw them in that show. And so definitely it falls into that. It's like Samurai Jack, Batman the Animated Series, the Spider-Man animated series, and Gargoyles. And those are the like the ones for me that really hit the hardest.
I loved Gargoyles, especially because it was mostly the cast from The Next Generation. Gargoyles
is my favorite of all of those. I think I am of the opinion that Gargoyles is one of the better shows, period, not just kids shows ever. Gargoyles was a phenomenal thing, and it is both probably a good thing and also a travesty that it kind of went away when the show ended. On the one hand, I wish we had more Gargoyles, but on the other hand, who knows what the modern content churn would have done to Gargoyles. So I don't know that that's actually something I want.
So Andre, I was curious and I looked up what games that this developer has made, the developer of the Samurai Jack. And what shows up is made by Soleil. I'm pronouncing it the French way because I'm French, sorry. So they made Samurai Jack Battle Through Time, and then they made a Naruto, a Boruto game actually, Shinobi Striker. And then the next game they have is something called Rock Shot that doesn't have a description. And then the one before that is from 1993 called Zerk's Learning Safari.
Zerk's Learning Safari is a very good name for a product.
And it looks exactly like what you expect in your mind.
There's a lot you can do with that. And I also, it's so funny that you say that, because even though that name doesn't really tell you anything at all about what that is, I can picture it completely. I know 100% what that thing is.
Yep, 100%.
Just because I have context.
It's because it's from 1993. Yes. It's an educational game.
Yes, exactly.
They've got another game called Ninjala that's coming out on the Switch, I guess. But yeah, I had no idea.
They are very focused on.
Or it's out on the Switch. Yeah.
Swordplay, then, huh?
Yeah,
same.
I guess.
I wonder if Zerk's Learning Safari has any swordplay in it then.
You know, you can only hope.
PC Mag thought the game was, quote, visually breathtaking, praising its storybook atmosphere.
So I'm looking at the soleilgamestudios.com page, and it looks like there's armor and stuff that you can equip on Jack. I don't know if that's part of the story or if it's like different armor sets throughout the game that have different effects, but it seems pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's Samurai Jack Battle Through Time, available on Apple Arcade and PC and consoles. Xbox One, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch. Yeah, it does it. Interesting. Their site doesn't mention iOS or Mac OS either.
Also, I need to report so that I don't come off as remembering a thing that isn't real and Mandela affecting people. The game I was referring to is called Cartoon Orbit by Cartoon Network. You collected basically digital, what are those things called? Pogs.
Okay.
You collected basically digital pogs that had a number and a color associated with them. And then you would fight other players and you would play your pogs, and then it would total up each player's number. And then it did some math with the colors.
That sounds
and then would choose a winner. It was very cool at the time. In a world where Hearthstone and Legends of Runeterra and all these like digital card games exists, I don't think it's very interesting now, but at the time when there were not digital trading card games, really, it was pretty cool.
I had a friend, well, I still have a friend who got really into the Adventure Time MOBA, which was also a Flash game as far as I'm aware.
I've heard about that, yeah.
And apparently it's actually pretty decent. But he basically said, because we were both into Dota at the time, so this was like 2014-ish. And he's like, yeah, I play Dota for when I want to feel competitive. I play that game when I just want to like have the most casual time possible.
This Cartoon Orbit thing, I don't remember how you got new pogs. I remember it being kind of frustrating because I don't believe they monetized it. Because
probably
it was
good. Yeah,
because it was children playing it for the most part. But I remember it being a really slow drip of new pog things, which was a little frustrating.
But it was a different time for games. So
oh yeah, I mean the thing that made it frustrating was more like you were very much staring at a browser and there wasn't that much strategy other than put all the things you have with the highest numbers out. So it was like it got very repetitive and boring. But it was a cool concept, and I think it would be interesting to try it out now and just get the nostalgia from it.
I saw there's a Cartoon Orbit G-Tunes Reddit. I saw a tweet thread the other day about someone who was trying to log into their old Neopets account.
Yes.
And they had been like banned because they were running like some weird racket and selling things for real money. And they had started like this gang of kids, like, 'cause this is when they were like 8 or 9. Mm-hmm. And they were set up as gang of kids who were basically getting in-game currency and were super rich in-game. And then this kid ended up selling something for real money, and then he tried to convince all his friends to start doing that, and then he got ratted out and had the gang stolen out from under him, and then his account banned, and then he found the account in like Neopets like leak or like data leak. So then they found the like one of their various accounts, went to log in, and the password had been changed.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, it's 8-year-old kids.
I forgot they made a physical card game based on this Cartoon Orbit thing.
There's a G-Tunes Discord that someone posted about 1 year ago.
There's apparently G-Tunes mods on Tabletop Simulator.
Oh,
man, I'm not going to go down. Don't worry. I'm not going down.
I know what we're hearing about next week.
No, don't worry about that.
Andre, can you tell me why they would do that?
Do what?
Tell me why.
Oh,
yeah, you said you were going first like 10 minutes ago, and then we started talking about. Oh, that's right. We talked about Samurai Jack. Okay.
Yeah. You're never gonna hear me say I want it that way. Tell me why. Tell
me why. Is it like? Can we get to the stage where the aesthetic of an adventure game like Life is Strange or Tell Me Why is like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC concerts and like
where's my Telltale Backstreet Boys game?
I need
how we will remember that,
where I walk into a room and I walk into my room and there's a bead door and there is a copy of a Britney Spears CD, an NSYNC CD, and a Matchbox 20 CD sitting on my dresser.
Gone Home too.
I would be more into Gone Home if it had that aesthetic, I think.
Yeah, sure. Gone Home is like just a little bit like set a little too early to appeal to like some folks.
And it's also a little, I mean, I really like the music and atmosphere of Gone Home, but it also goes for more of the like kind of indie acousticy, like, and like Modest Mouse and Death Cab for Cutie kind of like musical atmosphere instead of the boy bands one. Which is where I'm at, much more where I'm at as an adult, but man, I would be interested in a game where it was more like what I listened to when I was a kid.
Yeah. Well, tell me why is not going to scratch that itch, at least as far as I have reached.
Oh,
This is a Don't Nod game. Don't Nod, creators of Life is Strange, and they did stuff before that, but that is what they're most well known for at this point. And it's a game in that similar vein where it's an adventure game.
Did they do
They
Vampire?
made Vampire.
Yes, they did.
Okay.
They sure did, because they also didn't Remember Me, right? That was them.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is. There are definitely not like those games.
There are two inside
maybe
every
like Remember Me.
Inside every Don't Nod, there are two studios: the one that makes Remember Me and Vampire, and the one that makes Life is Strange.
Well, maybe there are some things to Remember Me, because there is a remember prompt that you constantly encounter in Tell Me Why. Tell Me Why is the game that was announced this year or late last year. They were very upfront and pushing the fact that their main character is trans, or one of the main characters is trans, and like, the first trans main character in a video game. And no, but in like a mainstream large launch title, probably. And
main character too.
I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of indie games. With
yes,
trans,
but to sort of fit all those, I think I mean, I can't off the top of my head think of them, but I think there are probably not so many trans characters that you play as in major AAA.
May I point you
games.
to The Missing? Not a AAA game.
Oh, right, yeah. And I don't know if you would call Tell Me Why a AAA game either, but still.
Yeah, there are.
Your release.
I wouldn't say this is a AAA game. So it's a little their marketing speak. I don't want to give them too much credit on that, because it's all marketing. But that is one of their big selling points. Is this is a story about a trans person up front, whereas The Missing was not like upfront about that in its marketing. That was not like, play this game about the trans experience, or about someone's experience, etc. This, and that's also more metaphorical, allegorical, whatever. But this is like you're going through someone's life and experiencing their.
My morning brain is extremely dumb. When you say allegorical, I just thought allegorical.
An Inconvenient Truth, the video game.
Oh my god. Anyways, sorry, please continue.
So Tell Me Why is set in Alaska. At least this first episode, it's episodic. And like small town Alaska. And you're playing Tyler, who is the trans man, out of a pair of siblings, and his sister Allison. And the game starts off with the twins' mother being killed, which sets up basically the conflict of at least this first episode, which is them trying to reckon with Tyler coming home after 11 years of like rehabilitation camp for like at-risk youth, not like conversion therapy or anything that, just at-risk youth. Tyler has transitioned, and this is the first time that he is reunited with his sister in that time. For various reasons, didn't want to see her, which causes some conflict. I'm not super far in. I'm a couple hours in, maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours in. And so it's hard to say how the game is really going to handle all of the issues it brings up, because this is an episodic, like 5-episode thing. Yeah. So it's always hard to judge too much based on that. But
it's possible that that this is just, it wasn't true. But they put out a pretty exhaustive FAQ about like content warnings for the game.
Yes.
Which seems to me to indicate that they're interested in not just creating a like queer tragedy story, which is why I am interested in playing this, because it seems like it's it seems like they're really trying to make something that isn't just another one of those. So, and from what I heard, I haven't looked at the fact because it has spoilers in it that I don't really want, but
I haven't looked at it either, but I'm not concerned about content warning stuff, but
right. So it won't, I don't foresee it having an effect on me personally. So I haven't looked into those, but from what I heard from people who have looked at it, his being trans is not necessarily a source of trauma within the game, and that it's not necessarily trying to like cast him as a tragic character because of who he is, which I think is I hope that's the case, because that's such a tiring narrative.
I mean, so this is basically the setup at the beginning of the episode. You're kind of figuring out Tyler believes that Tyler killed his mother in self-defense, and believes that she was trying to kill him and his sister that night. And the coming home back to their hometown, they're like, okay, we're going to sell our family house. Like, we've got to get it in our order. No one's been here in 10 years. Start to like uncover things and unpack and realize like, maybe it's not exactly what we thought. Maybe something else was going on here. And you start doing the don't nod thing where you realize, oh, there's like some supernatural powers here. And you get into like the twin kind of, what is it? When a thing trope where they can like telepathically communicate and kind of jointly remember, like see memories kind of in like a ghostly form and recall things from their past.
Yeah, from what I have heard, and maybe this is again incorrect because this was pre-release stuff before people had really played it. It sounded like to the whole like he murders their mother thing, it wasn't necessarily tied to him being trans at all. Like the event was not her being bigoted. It was just a different. It was obviously it was violence, but it was not tied to that, which sounded refreshing to me.
That's what the game is trying to unpack in the story-wise right now. So I don't want to get into too many spoilers.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
It is very much like you come across. Well, you have to like go into their mother's room as part of cleaning out, and you come across some things that like blow open your whole understanding of what was going on in Tyler's relationship with their mother. And then you start to like, okay, well, we need to go talk to somebody else who knew her to try and get some answers. And so that's kind of
it's interesting. I think
one of the things I worried about was with it being like small town Alaska was encountering like overt transphobia, like really aggressive. And I'm sure that'll be in here somewhere. But I think you shouldn't necessarily make a game. I'm not one to talk about what should and shouldn't be in a game about the trans experience, but I think if you're going to make a game about the trans experience, that is part of it, and take the good with the bad. If you're making a game like this, I think you're probably going to come across that, and maybe it's dishonest if you don't.
I think it's it's challenging, and definitely no group of people, however you sort of divide up groups of people, is a monolith. So I'm sure there are going to be people who would say you can't make a game about with a trans main character without encountering transphobia, and there are probably people who would say it would be really nice to play a game with a trans main character where I don't have to deal with transphobia, so it's so tough.
There are spots for all sorts of those games, but I feel like with the way this game is set, what the content it is currently handling, it would probably be disingenuous if they didn't. Like you do encounter some like mild transphobia of people who are not used to encountering trans people and interacting with them, and who know Tyler from when they were a child pre-transition,
right,
and are like, brother, what? Oh, and and say some shitty stuff, but it's not from a place of malice, and it is trying to like maybe humanize them,
I think
to get that point across, but Tyler is also like, take no shit and like, listen, I'm a man, fucking deal with it.
I think the thing that is exciting to me about this game is, and why I ultimately want to play it, is I ended up playing The Missing, both from Alex saying really good things about it, and then also from Heather Alexandra having some really she wrote just a really great article about it when it came out. And so and I played it because of its relationship to the trans experience, and I felt like it was a way to understand, to try to understand that a little bit better. I'm interested in playing this game because I'm interested in, like, obviously the story deals with that, but I'm just interested in the mystery, really, more so than I think it's obvious. I guess what I'm saying is I want us to get to a point where it can just be like, there's just a trans character in this because there just is. Yeah. I mean, it's not doesn't need to be a marketing bullet. And while it is a marketing bullet in this game, I'm still interested in playing it for just the fact that it sounds like an interesting mystery rather than the fact that it has a trans main character. I just think that's cool, and hopefully they handle it well. But I want to see the mystery.
Their cadence for these episodes is actually scheduled to be pretty quick. Like the second episode, I think second and third episode will be out in September, which is much faster than they tend to put out episodes for like Life is Strange, which is like tends to be like 3 months between each episode. Maybe
they learned something with Life is Strange 2, because I feel like that sounds like it was such a great game, but it was so hard to follow because it got lost as over time. It's like months between episodes.
Does this one, like you mentioned that the twins kind of have their telepathic ability kind of thing. Yeah. But does it feel more grounded in reality than Life is Strange did?
Like the first one? Or
sure. I only played the first one, so that's all I have context for.
So it is definitely less like superpowery what they're doing. But they are able to like kind of jointly remember events in the past and kind of like relive them to get an idea, and like they can talk to each other like telepathically, like so they won't be near each other, but then they can like have conversations. I got to a point when I last played where those memories, like, oh, I remember that differently, and so you can see each person's memory of that, and then you're choosing like which one you think is more accurate, or which one you choose to believe, and that'll impact your kind of
that's interesting
synchronicity or something.
Very cool.
Speaking of Mandela effect.
Yeah.
So you'll maybe have to choose, do I think Tyler remembers this right, or do I think Allison remembers this right? And that'll impact the story and things going forward.
Cool.
It seems like it'd be hard to tell a story that is totally grounded in reality if you're setting it in Alaska, because it's just such a kind of ethereal place for a lot of us, I think.
Boom.
Sure.
Also from our chat, Chris Edgerton says the episodes are out weekly.
So, is it weekly? That can't be right.
If so,
that's so fast. That's weird.
I would assume that it must be done, right? Like,
I mean, if they're doing it weekly,
so.
Yeah. It says here the second chapter will be September 3rd, and the final chapter will be September 10th. So just 3 episodes, and it is weekly.
I thought it was okay. I figured it was 5 because that's what they usually do. But okay,
no, that's three episodes weekly. It's cool that
it's on Game Pass.
Wow, I didn't realize that too.
Yeah,
that's right. It was in that thing. Yeah, it was in that event.
Only Xbox and PC. So
yeah, I will totally play that on Game Pass. I didn't even realize it was there. Because that sounds really interesting. I've always wanted to like Life is Strange more than I do. It's not. I don't know what it is about the first one. I have a hard time. Getting into it.
I've never been able to get past episode 2. It just never goes.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
I think the setting and kind of what's going on, like the private school kind of like private high school kind of situation where everyone's like super like quirky, like CW type thing.
I like that
CW
a lot.
show the game. Okay.
I like that part of it a lot. I think it's more just the pacing of the story is the thing that was hard for me to get into, because it feels like it's kind of jilted. Like there's times when like, oh shit, stuff is happening, and then like an hour will go by and you're just kind of walking around a house looking for a screwdriver, and so it's like ugh, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, it was
so far.
I'll just say it was just some of the adventure game bullshit that kind of.
Yes, I think that's what it is for me too.
But sorry,
so this is Tell Me Why is still very much that kind of game, but it feels much more compact and like tightened up. So maybe that'll help with some of the pacing issues, plus that it's coming out weekly, so you won't be like, I've not played this for 3 months, I'm not going to go back to it.
I will say the story sounds more compelling too. I think part of my Life is Strange struggle also is I feel like pretty early they sort of lay out what the story's going to be, and then it's kind of, I'm sure it's interesting to get there. Like I said, I haven't played through it all, so I'm sure that it is cool and has some twists and turns, but it the way that they early on are like, there's going to be this storm, I just was like, I don't know that this is a narrative device that's really working for me.
I think you should give Life is Strange 2 a chance, which I think is also on Game Pass.
I should, because
I think that also maybe kind of would sit better with you.
Yeah, it sounds
and then
like
also Tell Me Why seems a little bit tighter and less just wandering around. Like you're doing that, but there's less stuff maybe.
Yeah, I should just look up what happens in Life is Strange 1 and then because I've heard that it does kind of get referenced in Life is Strange 2, even though it's not
barely.
Yeah.
There's one choice but maybe you could read that, and then because Life is Strange 2 does ask you what your choice was. Yeah, but it doesn't really matter. Well, yeah, that's Tell Me Why. It's on Game Pass. It's on PC. So check that out if you're into that. And now let's see, Alex, I think.
Hi.
Tell me why you're still playing Final Fantasy 14.
Well, I still have my goal, you know? Like my
goal
the
near stuff
is to get to the near stuff, which is right near the end. So,
yeah.
Alex doesn't seem like someone who drops things.
I drop things all the time.
If you have a goal, though, it seems like if you have a defined goal, you're the kind of person who follows through on that goal.
That's true. Yeah. I'm very willing to drop things, but if something is in mind, I will definitely try as I might to get to it. So yeah, I put in last week I was at 30 hours. I'm at
something like that,
58 or something now, so keeping a pretty consistent pace. So like almost 60. And I finished A Realm Reborn, which is...
They must have really trimmed that.
Yeah, I hardlined the story.
If you've got double XP and you're just doing the main story, I think you could do that pretty easy.
It took us like a couple 100 hours, I think, when I was playing it, and did most of the story.
Was that all because you needed to grind stuff out?
No, the story just had a lot of running around. My understanding is that they recently streamlined all that stuff, like big time. They cut out a lot of the bullshit. Yeah,
I have no idea. From the experience I had with it, it was pretty streamlined. Except for one thing, but I'll get to that.
Okay.
But the experience has continued to be pretty good. I would say one of the best things about it is that the community has actually been surprisingly great. Like people are really friendly to new players. Like you'll see them like cheering on new players and being helpful to them rather than being impatient, or like, you know, if you're in a dungeon or whatever, they're not just like, oh, come on, let's move, let's go. They're like, oh no, we'll wait up and here's how you do that. And then they'll like leave commendations for people all the time. Like it's a really welcoming community, which is not what I was expecting, especially with online video games, but maybe that's also because I'm playing on the Japanese servers, who knows. And there's just lots of weird little like just moments. Like I guess maybe it's just an MMO thing and I've been missing out on it, but like there's an in-game trumpet that players can get. And so there was just in one of the main cities, in one of the main hubs, someone was just sitting on like a ledge or something, just playing the Castle in the Sky theme on a trumpet. And I was like, this is very charming.
Very good.
And there was like a crowd of people around.
Kind of unrelated, mostly unrelated. I went to a music box shop with my girlfriend last weekend or earlier this week because she had some days off. And they had a music box that played A Cruel Angel's Thesis.
Oh, I hope you got it.
I strongly considered it.
I'm imagining that as a music box, and it's just filling me with joy.
It was like, you know, the
tinkly and but it sounds like little tiny bells are playing it.
Yeah, well, it was it was one of the ones where you can like see what's going on. It was like the ting ting, the harps. I don't know what the metal tines. I don't know. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. Anyways, that's basically Final Fantasy. Is just the metal tongs hitting a thing, and it's a Cruel Angel's Thesis. But yeah, no. The ending of the story, because I got to the end of A Realm Reborn, I'm now getting into Heaven's Word, I think, which is the next expansion. And but anyways, the ending of the Realm Reborn story was fine, I guess. I don't know. It wasn't anything revelatory or anything like that, but it was a nice cap to everything that they set up for the story. So that was fine. I don't know. But my biggest complaint with the game, I don't remember what my complaint was last week, but for now is how many of the main story quests are turning into duties.
I hate when my quests turn into duties.
But duties not being the poop, but being the mini raid style things where you're going through dungeons or like boss battles with like 4, 8, 12, however many people.
Yeah.
And like the problem with that is that they tend to have some long wait times.
Yeah.
Like I had the one, I was talking about it in our group chat where I ended up waiting 90 minutes to play, and like that just really killed the momentum of the story.
Totally.
Well, sometimes the game, like the servers are like overwhelmed and they screw up or something, because it does an interesting thing where it'll like knock you down levels so you can run that stuff with other players at like lower level 6. So like there should be no problems finding players, but the servers just bork up.
I think, I could be wrong, I think there is incentive when you're high level. There's like a daily thing you get for just queuing for a random duty, that it'll pull those people into the ones that you are doing. To try to like give, I think that used to be a thing. I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure it's still.
Okay. I think they call it leveling roulette, and that's
something like that.
That's where you get the what's it called, the seals or whatever for your grand company, and it's like the way you level up from like being a private to a lieutenant, etc. within the in-game.
And there's good rewards for doing that.
Yeah, for sure. So that is a good incentive. But it also, the one that I was queued 90 minutes for, that mission ended up being like over an hour. So I can understand why some people might not want to jump into that one.
Yeah. It could be that people were hitting the queue, seeing what it was, and then bouncing.
It's very possible. But
yeah,
it was good. I'm going to continue playing that game, and I'm not going to give thorough updates every week. I'll try and play something else next week so we can talk about something else. But yeah. So
you're on to the paid content now.
Yes, but it is, I think all the expansions up to Shadowbringers are included with the base game.
Yeah. But now you've got to pay for the subscription, I mean.
No, not yet. I mean, I got the starter edition on Steam. So
does it come with like 30 free days or something?
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember exactly.
Okay, because I know like they made the like up until level 60 or something was free. And then, so if you've got like, if it came with game time, then you've probably still got like a month or something.
Yeah. And actually I got an email, like, I don't know, 20 hours in that was like, oh, you reached level 30 or whatever. Here's 15 extra game days. And I was like, oh, cool. Thank you.
What? No.
Yeah.
Maybe I should go back because I'm like right at the end of the Realm Reborn. I'm like level 58 or something. I'm right there.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But
Yeah, I
I'll
don't know.
use my last 5 days of vacation.
Yeah, game's got some good characters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is not what I would expect from an MMO, but it
has that one little fucker, what's his name, Popolov.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that guy's a dick.
He is.
Otherwise, though,
he doesn't like Ida very much.
Yeah, he can go fuck himself. A weird little mustache.
Then all of those.
Well,
I have to talk about this one raid or whatever dungeon I did last night, which it was the first time I've ever wiped in that game, or I've seen a wipe. Like I've not been dying, but this was one of the ones that's in parentheses hard. And you're just fighting a bunch of fucking Moogles. And it's
classic
awesome.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, but like
You don't usually fight those.
no, there's like 7 like medium-sized Moogles, and they all have their own powers. And then they summon like King Moogle, basically, which is like almost like a mythical being from their lore. And like he just arises from the middle of them all dancing.
Is he
together.
a really big Moogle?
He's extremely huge.
Okay, I wonder if it's the same, if it's the summon from Final Fantasy VII, basically.
Maybe, but it gets fuck hard as soon as that guy shows up, and we wiped like twice. And the music that's playing in the background is insane. It's kind of like a Nightmare Before Christmas-y kind of music, but it's all the lyrics are in English, and it's weird. I'll send you guys the music and stuff later, but it's really, that one was pretty rad.
I think Final Fantasy XIV might have my favorite music from any MMO that I've played. It has like surprisingly great tracks in there that only get better as you get into the expansion stuff.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Which I've heard it's cool that it's good that you enjoyed Realm Reborn, because from what I have understood in the past, that is definitely the most slog of the slog in the story. Like after that, it gets the stories get even more interesting. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I should be noted, I'm not really doing any side quests, so I haven't seen much of that content. Like I've done the job specific one.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear you say that, because I want to get back to and play that game, and I don't want to do the side quests because I just kind of want to push through the story. And so it's nice to hear that you don't have to. There's some fun stuff in there from what I was playing before, like funny little narrative things, but nothing. And there's a few that are a little heavier, but it's very much stuff you could go back and do later if you want to.
Anyways, yeah. Final Fantasy XIV
cool.
continues to happen.
All right. Well, speaking of games that continue to happen, it won't stop happening.
Yeah.
Warframe, Pat.
Yeah. So I saw footage. I have a friend who Warframe was one of his favorite games, and he plays it, and then he plays it like he got into Call of Duty with us, and then he's been mysteriously absent from all of our Call of Duty happy hours because he's been playing Warframe instead. So he will like play Warframe for like 100 hours in a week, and then like not play it again for 6 months. Which is, I mean, chase your bliss, but he was kind of on it again. And then I also saw the footage from the new Heart of Deimos stuff, which is there's a mech that looks like a corn cob, and there's like a snake goddess, and it's fucking, you ride like a mosquito skateboard around.
Okay.
It looks like if you took like a nightmare game that From Software made in the 90s that they never really made, and pulled it forward into 2020. It's really cool shit, and the zone is like all fiery and hell like and stuff. It is cool. I haven't actually gone there.
These really are some corn cob mechs.
They fucking, yeah, I'm not lying.
You just Google Warframe corn cob mech, you will find it, listener.
Yeah, it's on the launcher. It looks like a mix between something from like Blasphemous or Dark Souls and a corn cob.
That sounds like something like Ice Pick Lodge would make, if y'all know what Ice Pick Lodge is.
Yeah, kind of. Definitely. And so anyway, I could go to to Demos. The way Warframe's progression works is it's almost entirely horizontal. So you can play, like I have a loadout of gear that is like max level, because you can level up a gear set fairly quickly. The whole idea is that like you have an overall rank that tracks the number of things that you've mastered, and it kind of gates your access to more complex characters and weapons. So the kind of the idea for progression in the game is that you master character frames and weapons over time, and then get access to more complicated ones. And
you aren't starting fresh, obviously, right? Like you didn't start a new character for this. Like you have
no. You kind of can't. You have to. If you could make a new account, but because Warframe is interesting, and it's a really cool and unique thing about it, you have that overall mastery level, but it's kind of like Final Fantasy in that each frame is like a character class, and you switch between them freely. So so I have 3 frames. I have Excalibur, which is the basic one. When I started playing, that was the one you got at the beginning. He's like a sword focused guy, obviously. And then I have Frost Prime, which is obviously like does ice stuff. And then I have a frame that I got more recently since I started playing again called Nidus. That's like a plague infection, shoots out gross fungus tentacles. And then yeah, and then I have a few different weapons and a few different sidearms and a few different melee weapons, and those are the kind of the 4 elements of your loadout. And then one of the interesting things about that game's progression is your stats on your frames and weapons do not go up as they level. They have a baseline of stats. The thing that goes up as they level is you have more capacity to put mod cards on them, and that is where the game gets absolutely fucking wild and really complex, because there are like tons and tons of mod cards, and some of them are as simple as does more damage that you can put on a weapon, and some of them are as complex as like randomly links you with a teammate, and like damage that they take is converted to energy for you, that when you spend energy, it heals them. I'm making that up. That's not a real one, but it gets really complicated like that. So you can have a gun that has like 4 of those really complicated mods on it, and then all of a sudden, yes, when you click the button, it just shoots bullets, but it's also doing like 4 different effects that are both buffs and debuffs as you fire it. So the game gets really crazy with that stuff. But from a basic like play the content perspective, to just play through it, you can kind of get by just like cramming health and shield and armor mods onto your frame, and cramming damage mods onto your weapons, and like fire rate and reload speed mods. And then you can play through what in other games would be considered the leveling content. That more complex, like making crazy build stuff, comes in more when you're doing the super like high end stuff. A lot of the content in the game is centered around the idea that like you can play it at this level and play through it, or you can stick around with it and play it at a higher level, like timed missions where the longer you're in the mission, it gets harder and stuff like that.
So, speaking of online games that have been around for quite a while and have large communities, how is the community in this one? Like, are they welcoming?
It depends. There are different elements. There are certainly people who are really, really helpful and cool and friendly. And then you'll also almost always see someone being a dick in the chat. It has like global chat that you can turn off if you want to. But there's a huge, it just runs the thing is there's like in every game, there's like clans. And so you can just join one that's beginner friendly and that it doesn't allow people to be dicks. And there's clans with like thousands and thousands of people in them. I don't know that it's like the limit on people in clans is very, very, very high. So if you join the right community, then you can just surround yourself with people that don't suck. I would say though that you will certainly see all the kind of internet bullshit that you see if you join the wrong clan. They're pretty good about the general chat being a safer zone for people. Like I don't see slurs and stuff. They have a pretty strict mod team. They're like generally Digital Extremes, from what I have seen of people there, are pretty committed to safe spaces, and like they seem like cool people. And I know that like what is Reb's last name? Reb Ford is one of their community managers, and she is very much a take no shit kind of person, and is very cool from when I've seen her guesting on stuff. So yeah, the community could be better, I think. But you also, the thing, Warframe is the most like a third-person shooter Diablo in terms of game flow than any game I've played, and I just realized that this go round, because like there isn't loot in Warframe, but it is, you load into a mission and the new content is different than this, and there are several zones now that are different than this, but the core content of the game that I'm trying to get through to finish the star map is you click a node on a planet and it's like, okay, this is a sabotage mission. You load into the mission, you matchmake. You can play it solo if you want, but I always leave matchmaking open to make it go faster. Everybody drops down onto the ground, and then people just sprint away from each other at like light speed and kill shit
doing
incredibly
the crazy,
fast.
like,
oh yeah, you're just
like,
sliding
stuff.
And jumping, because that's how you propel yourself through the environment faster. And you're just like, you're like sliding and sword slicing people's legs off and stuff, and moving through the environment super fast and trying to complete the mission as fast as you can, because that's efficiency, baby. So so it's fun in that way, and it has pretty varied mission types. Another thing that's interesting to me is it's interesting how much playing this, the Crystal Dynamics must have played a fair bit of Warframe, because a lot of the objectives in that Avengers beta basically come from Warframe in those missions, like the point capture stuff in Avengers. I forgot that is like 100% a type of mission in Warframe. The difference is that Warframe has like a lot more mission types than what we saw in the Avengers beta, and because it's been around longer. But yeah, the Heart of Demos stuff, the new stuff, is one of their open world zones. So there's like, each of their open world zones is kind of like an expansion for a traditional MMO, in that they have these big open worlds that have dozens of hours of stuff to do in them, and they all have like unique currencies and vendors and quest lines and stories and stuff, and then unique mechanics associated with them too. So like you can get in these corncob mechs in the Demos area. Those don't exist anywhere else. It's not like you, like, from what I understand, I could be wrong because I haven't gone through it, but generally you can't really, sometimes you can take stuff to other open world areas. Like there's the hoverboards, you can fly those around in different places. You're not just on that one first area, but the open world stuff is usually pretty like contained to those zones, and then you unlock like frames and weapons that you can take outside of them.
Get in the corn cob, Shinji.
Yeah. I'm very excited to try that stuff at some point. I have played through Fortuna, which was one of the ones they did a couple years ago. Played through the like main story. The main stories are usually like 6-7 hours. They're not as long. And then there's a bunch of side and grinding content you can do. The Fortuna story is somewhat simple, but it is really cool. And it's about like labor unions and like how one of the like guillotining the ruling wealthy class and shit. And like, it's very fun to play through, and has some interesting characters and stuff, which is not a thing I would have associated with Warframe like 5 or 6 years ago. So hopefully I'll also get to check out that Railjack stuff, which is the space ship flying around and people like man different battle stations on your co-op spaceship, and it's wild. So that game remains quite cool, and I learned a new thing about it, and then I feel like a galaxy brain meme where I'm just like, oh my God, so if that's true, then all of this is true, and that means there's so much more to this than I could have ever imagined. And that happens to me all the time now.
I remember, like, I don't know, 2.5 years ago, I came on this podcast singing the praises, like, Warframe is better than Destiny 2, and
I think I argued with you.
Yeah, and now we have both done 180s on this, and
I'm sure.
I don't have a problem with Warframe, but I did get kind of burnt out on the find the components for a thing, and then you have to like set it up to like build. But logically, there's no reason to really hate that. Like, okay, I have to stop playing at some point anyway. So like when I come back tomorrow or whatever, it'll be there. But it was still like when it got to be like longer stuff, like 24 hours and things, I would get on and then it wouldn't be done until like I was ready to stop playing. And that was when I was like, yeah, you can spend money to get past that stuff, but I don't want to spend money.
I had a frame. I have a frame on the table that probably is just done now. I had gotten all the components. I mean, crafting a frame can take like 4 to 5 days, basically. Yeah. And it can,
the later game stuff.
I can see how it would be frustrating, but at the same time, like I have stuff to level still. So I haven't hit a point where I've been mad about that, because I've never been like, well, I maxed everything out and now I got to wait 5 days before I can progress more.
I am an instant gratification type person. I do not like to wait. I am not patient.
Well, and we talked about this
if there's something I want, I'm like, I want it now, damn it.
Yeah. We talked about this in our group chat too, where I think it's just different means of delivering a similar experience between that and Destiny. I've gotten, as I have said, I think on the show, but also in our group chat a lot, I've gotten really tired of the loot treadmill.
Sure.
To the extent that like the reason that I'm not dreading it for Avengers is because that loot seems so fucking inconsequential that it's like literally just push the equip best shit button and move on.
I think it's got the same thing that every loot game has, where early on the low difficulties, it doesn't matter. But once you get to the late game stuff, it is going to matter.
Sure. And I guess what it is I don't mind the late game stuff mattering. That's to me is like, when it comes down to like, actually, I need to think about my loadout and make choices. Yeah. That's good. Choices are good. Choices are what makes games good. So, or can be. So that doesn't bother me. It's the like 40 hours that you tend to do of like churning through shit gear just to make the number go up. That's the part that I don't like. And at the very least, Avengers has the like equip best shit. The other thing that bothers me in Destiny, and I understand that there are ways to get around this, and I understand that a lot of people will hear this and go like, well, it's not that bad, it doesn't matter that much. But when I find a hand cannon that's power 67, and then it takes me like, and then like 20 minutes later, I find a scout rifle or something that's power 70. I don't want to switch from the hand cannon if I'm enjoying using the hand cannon, but then I feel like, well, I'm not using the best equipment that I have, and then I'm not making the number go up more. And at least
they did a lot to alleviate that, but you can continue and I can.
Yeah, I know you can feed guns to guns, but
it's not even that. It's they made it so you don't have to have gear equipped basically to get better gear, because before it used to be you have to have your highest level stuff equipped to get more to impact the loot you're picking up. But now it takes whatever the highest number of stuff in your inventory.
Yeah.
So if you're enjoying that weapon, and like in your example, I'm a super pedantic, like, well, 69 and 70, it's not very different. You could, but
and I think
they did do stuff to tackle that.
Alex, you had something.
I was just saying nice because 69.
I think Destiny I keep using Destiny as an example because it is the biggest one of those, but I also think they've probably solved a lot of my issues more than almost every other game that does this.
I think Warframe is probably bigger, but Destiny just has the more mainstream appeal.
Well, I mean, more Destiny has a loot. Warframe doesn't have a loot grind, so I mean, it has a grind for sure. So it's functionally very similar because you're just grinding for resources instead of loot to level up your stuff you already have. But the other thing that I have come around on with Warframe 2 is the notion of like, I like how different each piece of equipment is. And I like how much it changes the way you potentially can play the game. You don't really have to change the way you play the game. You know, guns are guns, but just like in Destiny, but at the same time, there's a degree of expressiveness and fluidity to the moving and shooting in Warframe that I'm really enjoying. And it feels like the skill cap in some ways is almost higher than it is in something like a Destiny, where Destiny, you want to get really good at the shooting. Warframe, it's kind of more about getting good at the movement. So it's an interesting contrast, but it's certainly not a, I am sure I was already pissed at Destiny about the content vault stuff. And then hearing some of the shit about Beyond Light sounds really cool. So I may already be going back on my, I'm not going to touch Destiny again stuff, and we'll probably touch Destiny again in the next year. Maybe not at
you are not the only person who has criticized them for their approach, and I believe that they have said that they're not trying to rely on the FOMO stuff as much, so
which is good.
Like going forward, yeah, that is good, because they've done some really neat stuff in the season so far, but you can't go see a lot of that now.
Also have shifted my mindset to an extent and come to understand that, I mean, when I say this, I mean, like in the last week, I have gone through this process. It kind of clicked for me like 2 nights ago, where Destiny is almost like Magic the Gathering at this point, where you cannot get hung up on one cool card from 3 sets ago in Magic the Gathering, because it's just not going to necessarily matter in 3 more months. And that's kind of where Destiny is at. To me, it used to be like the exotics in that game are like legendary items, not legendary in terms of quality, but like legendary conceptually, legendary items that like you talk about the Rat King with your friends, and that means something. That's like, that's a special thing. And I think that isn't sustainable for a service game that's going to end up being, you know, in their hopes, it seems like decades, not this specific game, but Destiny as a franchise, run for decades, because there's only so many Rat Kings you can design. I mean, it's all guns, right? So like, and bows and swords, but there's sort of a limit, I guess. So the way that it seems like they're approaching it, which is more like, hey, like Magic cards, these guns are going to rotate in and out of being good and useful.
Sure.
It makes me a little less, it sort of triggers my FOMO anxiety a little bit less, thinking of it in that way than it does thinking of it more as a, like, I have to collect everything. Because that's how I always used to think of Destiny, was it's a collecting game, but it's just not really anymore. And that's okay if that's what it
I mean, they've made that basically impossible with the amount of vault space they give you too. Like you just can't hold everything at this point, or very nearly. Like you physically can't. Like, they've got the collection stuff, but that's
more because you can pull anything you've collected before.
Not anymore. No.
Really? They took that out?
Well, no, you can pull stuff from like OG Destiny, but stuff that rolls with random drops, like random stats and stuff, you can't pull
stuff
because it's randomized.
Yeah.
But any of that newer stuff, you can't pull. So like you have to either store it or you have to get rid of it.
Yeah, that's like the weapons with like stats though, right? Like that's not.
But it's also armor.
Exotics.
No, exotics you can pull, but like anything else, because you can only use one exotic. But
I don't care about the being able to. I care less about that stuff. To me, it's more like the bespoke, like this is an exotic weapon that I did a quest for and spent like hours grinding to get, and it's really cool. To me, collecting all of those used to be Destiny. That used to be the thing that made it interesting, was saying, well, today I'm going to pull out this handgun that collects energy from the sun and fires it in a concentrated beam every time I shoot it. And that's fucking rad as a concept. And I have that now. And it's just a thing that exists in my inventory. And I'm kind of working to get over that as like being what that game is. And I think instead now what that game is really is more of the revolving, like you're churning through, more randomized stuff over time, which is less interesting to me, but also I don't hate it as much coming at it with that mindset as I was coming to hate it in the last couple months with all of the rotation stuff that they're doing with the content.
It'll be interesting to see what they do, what Beyond Light actually does to the game. In terms of actually playing it.
I don't think we have it on our news, and I don't necessarily think it's newsworthy, but that stuff that came out from that community person that was like, the vault is a lot more than the Disney vault, was interesting. I don't know if I believe them, because I don't know.
That's a wait and see type thing.
Yeah, exactly. But if what the vault is their way of rotating stuff out to rework it so that it fits in a more complete package that is more seamless, then that I can get behind. And I wish that they would just say that, because that would make it feel way less like you're taking shit away from me that I'm never going to see again. And I know that they have said that they're going to rotate stuff back in. What does that mean? If they were more upfront about that, I think people would feel better about it.
Sure. Yeah. It's hard to say, but we'll see we'll see in November what that game looks like.
Yeah.
But
I'm kind of waiting and seeing on that. I should probably actually play through that Shadowkeep stuff, because I never got around to finishing that. But
you can do that right before it comes out.
Yeah.
But anyway, you played another game.
Yeah. Unbeknownst.
Very different.
Yeah. Totally unbeknownst to me. Direwolf Digital, which makes things like why am I blanking on the name of their card game? Is it Eternal?
G-Orbit, G
Eternal. Sorry, they make Eternal. There's a lot of card games that I've played. So they make Eternal, which is one of the better digital card games that kind of toils away in relative obscurity compared to things like Hearthstone and Legends of Runeterra. But Eternal is very good. They also made that Elder Scrolls card game on contract for Bethesda.
Scrolls, right?
No, Scrolls is a different thing. Scrolls is by a person who I don't think exists anymore.
Wait, what? Where's that?
Scrolls was
that
the
how that
Notch.
went? No,
Scrolls was the Notch game. That was the Notch card game from years ago.
What's the Bethesda one?
Elder Scrolls.
Is it
something? It's not. It doesn't work.
Legends?
It's gone. They killed it.
Elder Scrolls Legends.
Maybe. Yes, Elder Scrolls Legends. There you go.
Okay.
Elder Scrolls Legends was a good. I have Elder Scrolls Legends in my Steam list of games called RIP, which is the list of games that I have in my library that are no longer functioning. Elder Scrolls Legends was a interesting card game. It just was in a sea of better card games, better marketed card games, we'll say. But Direwolf makes good stuff. They also work with Renegade to make like physical board games as well. A studio called Renegade. So they're weird because they do both physical games and digital games, and they oftentimes bring other board game developers' physical games to digital space. So they're just a weird house, but they're cool. Anyway, they did, unbeknownst to me, a digital version of the board game Root that came out into early access on the 20th. Early access, but they're basically just tightening up the AI and prepping it for cross-platform play, because there will be a mobile version as well. So it's not like early access, like missing content. It's totally content complete. And for those who haven't seen it, Root is a asymmetrical strategy board game that has really gorgeous art. You play as forest creatures basically. And it is a really brilliant strategy game that I had not really engaged with because it's expensive to have the physical copy, and I hadn't really had people to play it with until relatively recently, and then quarantine happened. So I have not been playing physical board games with people, but it's a beautiful game, really complex. And I played through the tutorials and a game last night against the AI, and the digital version is really, really well done. And so like to kind of give you an idea of the complexity, I won't monologue for a super long time, but you basically have like a board that has, I think, 11 spaces on it. Some of them are connected by paths, but not all. You can't move freely between all of them. And then you have 4 factions in the base game. So there's a faction called Marquis de Cat, which is literally a cat empire of cats.
Nice.
Where they start out with a fortress on a corner space of their choosing, and then they get a warrior in every space on the board except for the opposite corner space. And so when you play as them, you're basically doing like empire building. You're building buildings, you're using resources, you're like building a resource engine, spending those resources to build more buildings and to recruit more troops. And you're doing this all with like a set. You can do 3 things per turn. In the one space that you don't have anybody, there's another faction called the Eerie Dynasties, which are birds, and they start there, and their whole game is different. They have to, instead of getting 3 actions per turn, they select a leader, and then their leader basically determines what base 2 actions you can do each turn. And then you play cards from your hand. You have to do this to program in other actions you'll be able to do, but those stay there. So you might have like move and build for your actions from your leader, and then you put a battle card in the slot. And if you can't complete all those actions in your turn, then you lose points and your leader gets I don't know, killed. I don't know. It's like an uprising happens and you have to pick a new leader that has different stuff. So they're very much about like programming out and planning way ahead to try to make sure that you could do everything you need to do and move around the board and sort of take land from the cat player. And then you also have a Woodland Alliance, which is, they don't have anything on the board at the start. They do like guerrilla warfare where they're building up sympathy tokens in spots, which then allow them to do revolts and place figures there. And then there's also this.
Are they gorillas?
They're foxes.
Oh.
And then there is also a vagabond player who only has 1 character, and it plays more like an RPG where you move around the board and interact with the other players and try to complete your quest cards. So basically it's like 4 people playing completely different games at the same time on the same board. And everyone's trying to score points, and whoever scores 30 points first wins the game. And it is like so wild the way that all of this stuff interacts. I mean, it really almost feels video gamey in the sense that the other players are like acting as content for you to do as you play your board. It is just a fascinating game that I'm really into asymmetrical games. And this one is like the most asymmetrical I have seen. Like I've played a lot of the Dune board game, which is certainly asymmetric. And even to the extent that like there's different victory conditions for players and stuff, but it still feels like everyone's playing the same game. This is like the mechanics of each faction are so wildly different that it almost, the only common elements are how the battle system works and that you have cards basically that everyone draws from a shared deck of cards that have like each faction uses the cards in different ways, but there's a shared deck of cards in the middle of the table. So it's a really wild thing, and I highly recommend it to people who like, you don't have to like board games. I think this digital version of it, they do such a good job with the UI and with the visual treatment that it doesn't, if you didn't know it was a board game, you might not think anything different if you boot it up and you might just assume it's a strategy game made for PC or mobile. And it's only $15 too. So it's like, it's a really nice package. And you know, it has like the online multiplayer, it has single player, it has like 20 different challenges you can play, which are games with different parameters to make them harder. And it's just a really fascinating thing if you want to kind of see what is one of the baselines right now for strategic board games, because Root as a physical game is extremely popular. And I highly recommend it.
Nice. Is it like it's on Tabletop Simulator. Does that like you have to play it with other people
on Tabletop Simulator?
Yeah.
This isn't Tabletop Simulator. This one is a standalone thing. Yeah. On TTS, yes, and this is a thing that happens pretty frequently now. Is someone will develop a Tabletop Simulator version that becomes official, and then you can pay like $10 or $15 to unlock it as an officially supported mod for Tabletop Simulator. But this is actually like a totally digital version.
Gotcha.
That is not on TTS, so it has AI and stuff to play against.
Right, it's an early access. Duh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's easy to, if you search it, you'll find the Tabletop Sim mod too. So it's easy to mix them up. I will read one of my favorite, the moment when I was like, oh my God, this game. And I kind of had to share was I was playing the tutorial for the Eerie and the bird people. And I got a tutorial message that said, which when you take it out of context is wild. And I even had to read these messages 2 or 3 times to understand them in context. But when you assign cards to your decree, only their suit applies. If you want to use the card's effects, you must save it for the crafting phase. And then during bird song, you may craft cards from your hand using roosts. Each roost contributes the suit of its clearing towards paying costs, much like the marquee workshops. Which is a lot of words.
That is a lot of words.
Just don't. During bird song?
That was the thing in BioShock Infinite, right?
And once you start playing, the tutorial is actually really, really good. So all that stuff does make sense. But it is a very complex and interesting game for sure. And I hope that they add the expansions to it over time, because there's been a few expansions that have added extra factions that all are themselves totally different and unique compared to what is in the base box. So it is cool. It's a good digital board game to try to convince your friends to play while everyone's quarantined.
Awesome. That's great. All right. Well, since we're a small cast today, that means we're done with games.
Yeah.
Well, after only
an hour and
not even 90 minutes.
Oh yeah, I guess because we only been
chat
going for
before and yeah. So that means it's time for news, and there's a lot of news this week. I don't know how much of it matters, but there's a lot of it.
Yeah.
How about we follow up from? Well, let's just start with the big thing, which is the Epic versus Apple stuff. We can wrap that up because I don't think we'll hear about it for a while after this. And we talked about it last week.
Goodness.
Yeah. So
I'm
this
so
week
exhausted.
was the first hearing, I guess, in the Epic versus Apple Fortnite on iOS and the payment processor and
30%.
Apple's the
save Fortnite.
The top 1% of the top 30%. Yeah, so this week was the first hearing. Apparently the judge has I can't remember. There's something about the judge and their experience, what they have worked on, but
that would fucking rule. Judge Dredd would just probably shoot both of them.
Well, this judge did not, but so we got kind of a split ruling in this first hearing before things go forward. The judge did rule in favor of Epic in terms of Unreal Engine, because that was going to have massive sweeping implications across games.
Fuck you, Apple. Epic wins.
I need to say, I don't want anyone at Apple or Epic to be harmed by a rogue agent of justice. Just so we're clear.
That's fair.
For the internet fanboys.
Yeah, so Unreal, that license is not being revoked. Epic can continue to develop the Unreal, fix bugs, improve stuff, so it can still be used and updated across macOS. No, not Fortnite. No, that's still
gone.
That is still not allowed on.
The judge said Epic won.
No, they said that Apple could not revoke their developer license for Unreal, but also said Epic pooped their own pants and blamed the dog, basically.
That's a very good analogy. Yeah, no, they basically said that like it was like clearly
It's
orchestrated.
self-inflicted. Yeah, Apple
it was
did
like
not
premeditated. Like
Apple did not do anything untoward to Epic in this situation, and Epic made the problem themselves. Whether you feel that Apple's take and their practices are fair, the way that the situation arose was 100% on Epic.
I mean, they had the full marketing campaign ready to go.
Oh yeah, no, this was all 100% premeditated. And so season 7, I don't know, whatever the next season of Fortnite has started, and so now the versions of Fortnite are out of sync, so you will not be able to play cross-play platform Fortnite on.
I didn't follow this super closely because I kind of don't care, but I did see that Fortnite was on iOS for a while, and then they kept pushing updates to it that continued to try and get around the Apple stuff, and then Apple was just like, "Yo, fuck off," and then they just deleted it again.
It's like pathetic to me. I mean, obviously, fuck Apple. I mean, I'm not on either of these companies' side here, but like, they're acting like children.
It's extraordinarily petty. Like, it's just so stupid.
I feel like while Apple, again, this is not me white knighting for Apple because fuck Apple, and I hope that Epic wins the lawsuit because I think the stuff that they want to see change with the App Store is good. But also, I can't blame Apple for being like, what do you do? I mean, Apple, it seems like they're just like, they're like, are you serious? I think it's just a stupid mess of a thing. Like it's the embodiment of that voice clip. I don't know if anyone, this is a deep cut, but there was a very good Giant Bomb episode where they played voice clips of Patrick Klepek saying stuff.
Oh God, yeah.
Two companies,
corporations pissing in the wind. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No.
You think they're going to go back on this? No.
Actually, my partner, at anytime I need to say no, I often will say no. And she knows exactly what I'm referring to.
Good.
It's a good clip.
Anyway, it is just like two huge companies just like you said, Epic's the one shitting themselves. Apple's the one who didn't give them a key to the bathroom saying, what are you doing? Like,
no, Apple did give them the key to the bathroom,
you're right.
And Epic went, no, you got to give me,
yes.
You got to, they're standing,
you got to open the door for me.
They're standing in a JC Penney poo pants and the person is going, here's the bathroom. And they're going, no, you got to give me like new underwear and a pair of Levi's right now.
No, they're like,
and to everyone in the store.
They're also like, this ain't toilet paper. We want a bidet. So
it's just,
hey, that's a reasonable request. I'm gonna say right here.
I think the thing that bothers me the most about this is I think that the most pro-consumer move for Epic right now is to maintain their case, to push it legally, but to, in the meantime, while we're waiting for that litigation, to just put the game back on the App Store and take the payment thing out. You don't have to take it out on other platforms. So if people can figure out for themselves that they can buy it on PC for less and then use it on iOS, fine. Because what you're doing is like, there are people who can't play it other ways. It's like a game they really like, and all they have is an iOS device because there's just lots of places where that's the case. And so it sucks for them that they can't participate in the new season of content and stuff.
Apple does not care about that. Like those people,
and they're not going to.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and I mean, yes, that's shitty of them, but that's how it is for everyone who operates within their ecosystem. Epic is not special, so I don't see why. Like, I don't know.
We don't have it written down here, but did you also see the Facebook stuff?
I saw something. If you can remind me though.
Yeah, Facebook also kind of threw their hands in and like we're trying to do updates on. Like they also tried to do an update to also try and get around the 30% App Store tax, basically.
There was something going around about iOS 14, like privacy stuff is going separate. To like reduce like ad revenue
and
on Facebook.
That is just fuck Apple completely for that stuff. From what I was reading about that, like that and the WordPress stuff was just like
the WordPress stuff they went back on.
Oh, okay. I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, but like, Facebook is doing some kind of like a paid event feature for like local businesses and stuff that they can do. Okay. So like basically, like let's say some local test kitchen is having like a cooking class or something like that, and you can buy it for like, oh, I'm gonna reserve a slot in this for $10 through Facebook, and Apple was saying, oh, we're going to take 30% of all of that and basically taking it more away from the local businesses than from Facebook. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so
let me tell you, if you, as someone who runs
Facebook could step in and like do something about that. I feel like step in monetarily and be like, we'll cover that like 30%. Yeah.
That'd be good. Sorry, Pat, you were going to say that?
I will say, as someone who runs a Facebook account for medium-sized business, Facebook is hammering everyone to take advantage of this new feature. You can say, I don't care about this as many times as you want to your Facebook rep, and you will still receive an email the following week about it.
Wow. I didn't know it was that pushy. Yeah. That's kind of rough.
Yeah, they're pretty pushy about all their quote services for small businesses. But
speaking of other companies, giants pissing in the wind, Microsoft also came out. I don't know if this happened before, but Microsoft came out in support of Epic in terms of the Unreal stuff. They said that it would be extraordinarily harmful to them and other creators. They will probably be filing a brief because they are not happy with Apple either right now because of the Game Pass stuff and doing some sort of so everyone's like trying to gang up on Apple right now,
which is not a bad thing. I mean, Apple sucks, but like
the way Epic is doing it though.
Yeah, Epic also sucks. I can't really blame Microsoft for filing the brief though.
Apple's got a lot of lawyers. They've got a lot of money. It's not like you're gonna nickel and dime them into. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if they get like, okay, we just don't want to deal with litigation anymore. We'll like do some mild changes to policy that it doesn't give people.
I don't think they'll do that
everything
at all.
What they want.
I don't think they'll do that at all. I think they'll fight this in court, and I think they'll win in court because there's no precedent for what Epic is trying to say. Like, I am in favor of breaking up tech giants. I would like to see 100%. Facebook and Amazon and Google and Apple and Microsoft and all of them get broken up because I think they all there's antitrust concerns with every single one of them. I mean, we're basically in an oligarchy already. So like I am definitely, I am very much a socialist about this stuff, but at the same time, if you look at the legality of it, you sign terms of service when you agree to release stuff on Apple's platform. There's nothing legally that they're doing wrong to Epic right now from a informed layman's perspective, at least. And it's what
they've got to try and make a case for, and it's that they indeed are.
And it's very clear. I mean, constitutionally, they're not doing anything that's illegal. And it's very clear that what Epic's strategy is to build public like hatred for Apple to pressure them into settling.
Never happen.
And I don't buy it. I don't buy what Tim Sweeney says. I think if Apple gave Epic a sweetheart deal, they would take it. I don't think that they would push it for all developers or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think if anything, they would continue to maybe try to push in that direction after they get their deal and act like, well, now that we have the deal, maybe we can make it happen for everyone. It's baby steps kind of thing. So, but I mean,
those emails did come out,
that whole thing was just like, what are you doing, Tim? Just shut up.
Like, what do you think the chances are? Because it looks like the next court date isn't going to be until next year. percentage chance, what do you think the chance is that this gets settled out of court?
Very low. I mean, unless Epic gives up.
Epic is going to. If they. I want to say if they didn't buckle by the time this rolled around, they weren't going to get it that fast though. So I'm not sure. I think they'll stick in it because they can say Fortnite's on so many other platforms. And yes, there are plenty of people who don't have access to other platforms. All they have is a phone or whatever.
Yeah, but there's plenty of people that do too.
Oh yeah. So they're not going to miss the $2 million or whatever they make on iOS, but
that's the thing.
They can hold out. They could never go back on iOS and be okay.
Yeah, they can never go back on iOS and be okay, and Apple can never have Fortnite again and be okay. So that's the thing is neither of these companies has incentive to settle this quickly. Especially, and if anything, Epic is the one who has less incentive, because for them, this is not just an event to they're not just marketing this lawsuit. They're also marketing Fortnite, because it's a game that they, I think, understand that they need to keep it in the public conversation to keep it, the biggest thing in games. This is very much, to me, a calculated way to both achieve a business goal of theirs in getting more money on a platform that is still probably a large platform, even if it's one that they can live without. And they are marketing Fortnite now because a bunch of publications ran big stories about Fortnite. So, and it is not a coincidence that all of this came out right as they have a new season featuring Marvel characters. So for them, I mean, for Epic, I bet they're happy to ride this lawsuit out because they can keep getting people to talk about it. And I'm sure that they have a long campaign of information and internal shit to release over the next 8 months that will keep people constantly talking about this. And it's so fucking exhausting. And so disingenuous, in my opinion. But that's business.
Hopefully we don't have to talk about it for another year.
I mean, I will definitely get to a point where if they if Tim Sweeney has new emails to post to Twitter every week for the next 6 months, I'm not going to talk about it every week. I'm not going to be part of that marketing churn for them. Fuck off.
So that's where the Epic stuff is. It'll be interesting to see what developments happen when they finally do, or if there's any super juicy discovery stuff, but I don't think there will be, because this was so nakedly marketing and a publicity stunt. And even if their goal with the suit is, I don't want to say noble, but if they have reasonable and could benefit if it goes through, but
it doesn't seem like Apple really has anything to hide in this either. So I don't see anything really juicy coming out. I'm sure that Epic will try to make stuff seem juicy. Probably make another fucking hat, which is,
oh God, we talked about that already.
We did. Yeah. That is embarrassing though. That is pathetic and embarrassing.
Want to talk about discovery though. Where's the Rockstar stuff? I want to know all about the Benzies.
Also, I should say, whoever designed that hat, whatever artist, I'm glad that you got paid for it. So I don't mean to suggest that artist is pathetic and embarrassing. I'm saying Epic as a company.
What if, I know it's supposed to be the Mac logo colors and stuff, but what if they were we need a gay pride Fortnite hat? And then
it would look kind of the same, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And then they were just just kidding. It's for a lawsuit.
How depressing is that?
But I guess it said free Fortnite, so you'd be like, "What does this have to do with Pride?"
Yeah.
But that's just. Okay.
Anyway,
well,
let's talk about more fun things.
Yeah, there's some fun news this week. Things weren't so bad in the world of gaming. We had the DC Fan Dommmeeee, which was apparently much better than people expected, which I think is fair from DC lately. We got, in terms of game stuff, we've got the long teased Suicide Squad game, Kill the Justice League, was finally given some promo material besides a tweet and a picture of negative bit bizarre, not Bizarro Superman, or I don't know, brain controlled Superman. So yeah, that looks like a game with the Suicide Squad. You got Captain Boomerang in there, whatever. Boomerang Man, Captain Boomerang, that's what his name is, right?
Yeah.
It's got a lot of people in there. No clear cut like vision of what that game is.
Does they say
anything?
I think, well, they said it's like a cooperative third person action shooter.
That could mean anything.
No, but I think, yeah, I could, but I think I feel like I have a pretty clear picture of what that game is now, and I could be totally wrong, but I mean, I think it's going to be like a Left 4 Dead kind of thing structurally, where you'll play through missions as those 4 characters. You can switch between them, or you can play co-op with your friends, and there'll probably be some light progression stuff in there, but that mostly it's going to be just like fun, go through the levels. That's my assumption. I don't think it's going to be an open world thing like some people were saying. A lot of people before this event were assuming it was like an Avengers type thing, like with this Avengers game where it's going to be a game of service. That was some of the speculation, but I don't see that at all.
Basically, they just showed a CG trailer.
Yeah, it's hard to infer. I could be way off.
Did they say like 2022 or anything?
2022,
on that,
yeah.
Okay, so they put a date on it.
It's a long way off considering how long that game has been in development.
Yeah, that'll be like 7 years since.
I maintain my theory that I think they were working on a Justice League game, and then they couldn't make it fun because it's very hard. The idea of making a fun Justice League game is rough, and so
they can't even make a fun Avengers game.
And then they pivoted to making this instead because
maybe
Justice League wasn't working. I could totally be wrong. I don't know anything about what's going on at that studio, but
I was into the trailer they showed.
Yeah, me too. Surprisingly,
they used Bombs Over Baghdad.
Yes,
that song's a bop.
Great, and it's time for that song to come back and be used in things again.
Yeah, King Shark is voiced by WWE's Samoa Joe.
Yeah, which is awesome. He seems like, everything I've heard about him as a person is that he's a really nice dude. So,
I liked the humor they went with. It wasn't too much, not too little. So we'll see.
Yeah,
it looks like there's some like Brainiac stuff going on. Brainiac, is that who? Mind
Brainiac.
controlling the Justice League.
Yep.
So they're bad dudes.
It is impressive. They even Harley was even like, I thought she was funny and like entertaining, which is not something that I find true of Harley Quinn as a character for the most part.
She's separated from Joker, she seems to become much less obnoxious.
Yep. So that game looks cool. I'm more excited for it than I thought. I came into it with zero interest at all because I did not like the first Suicide Squad movie. But that looks good.
You know, Rocksteady's never done like licensed, or like they've always done licensed. They've never done stuff directly tied to like the cinematic stuff.
Right. Which I didn't assume.
Based off of. Yeah. But I mean, they've been based off of the animated series, and this is continuing from Arkham Knight. So that, you know, it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Also from the fandom, we got finally, after months of teasing from WWB Montreal, is Gotham Knights, a Batmanless Batman game about the Bat family. You got your Batgirl, your Nightwing, your Robin, your Deadpool.
It's so that joke is Waypoint already did it. They did it before
I did it as soon as I saw it. I did it.
Yeah, but not into a microphone.
Not into a microphone.
They beat us.
That's fair. But no, that was a question. I know who that is. I know who Red Hood is.
Yeah,
looks like a Deadpool though. The only reason I kept doing it was because Sam was just like so earnestly responding.
Yeah.
Just like, you weren't like this, I wouldn't do this. Anyway, it's a co-op Arkham game, basically.
2-player co-op.
What it looks like. 2-player co-op specifically, so not 4-player. they gave a brief gameplay demo. They didn't go into like super detail, but
they gave us more than most people have been giving us though for major AAA games, which was I commend them for, because I got a better idea of what that game is from it. Yeah,
there are some questions like how much of a surface game is it? Because they do say like they do imply you'll be going back and replaying content. There's damage numbers coming off enemies when you hit them and stuff like that. We didn't see loot, but there might be loot. There might not.
Who knows?
Stuff like that.
It looked way better than Avengers.
I mean, that it's building off a very solid foundation because it's very much building off the Arkham combat. Like it's that same kind of game, but you're not playing as Batman. You're playing as various people in the Bat family. So you've got, and they all have different traversal stuff. So they play differently. Their combat is different. Like the Red Hood uses guns. So it'll be interesting to see how that changes things up compared to Batgirl or Nightwing or Robin, who are using like a bow staff or tonfa or like electric fists or whatever they might be using. It looks good. It's out next
Visually,
year.
it looks cool. The art was really good. The like tone was really good. Batman is dead in it, which is
so they say.
Yeah,
I'm not convinced.
I think it would be really weird for them to do an interview and say, no, he's dead, yes, he's dead, and then have that just be a bald-faced lie.
I mean, the WB has done like lies about their movies. I don't know about game stuff, but like what Dark Knight Rises, they were just like, no, this is not who that character is. Like with like Talia al Ghul, there's like, no, that's not who she is. And then it was very much who she was.
And it's possible, but
like I think if you just are willing to take that hard line approach to is Batman dead really, and just say yes, he's dead, leads to a much better surprise or like shock when you get to the game and he is alive, and you don't have the answer being like, maybe you'll have to play the game to find out. I'd rather them not play that line and just say, take a hardline stance one way or the other. So that's Gotham Knights. That'll be out next year sometime. They did not give a firm time frame.
I actually assume that game would probably be pretty early next year. I'm sure they don't want to give a time frame because they don't want to push it. But the speculation I've heard was that was a 2020 game and then got pushed because of COVID stuff. So it sounds like it's probably not that far off.
It'll be nice to see. Maybe they'll look at Avengers and go, oh crap, scrap it, redo the whole thing.
Maybe, or they'll look at Avengers and say, all right, we're good.
We got it. The Robin stuff, like the traversal things are interesting. Like ultimately you're going to be doing the same thing, but the way they kind of communicate the movement and stuff is neat, because Robin apparently hacked into the Justice League satellite and can teleport with it.
Yeah.
So he's just like jumping through the air and teleporting, which is neat, because when I saw the trailer, I was like, well, that's ridiculous. What is going on here? But then I heard the explanation. I'm like, okay, sure. That's fine.
It's a pretty stupid explanation, but at least it's cool.
It's comic books, and again, it won't, maybe it will make a difference, but like, the traversal stuff, like the Avengers, everyone can kind of traverse and has a thing they do, but ultimately it kind of accomplishes the same things.
It's just
aesthetic.
The game looks good and looks like it'll be fun to play. I'm excited to see more of it. I think it's interesting that they teased that Court of Owls stuff so heavily leading into it. And that's
barely in the trailer.
And it seems like a thing. And they even said as much that they're just like one of a lot of stuff going on in the game, which is,
you could make that like a central component of the story and still have a lot of stuff going on.
Well, and that's how they did it in the comics when they first introduced the Court of Owls, which I read 100 issues to find out last week and had a good time doing it. Is basically, it's like all of the stuff that happened in the first 9 issues of most of the Bat Family comic books when New 52 launched. Like the reason Mr. Freeze escaped and was doing the stuff that he was doing was because the Court of Owls set it in motion, because they're like this shadowy cabal of ultra wealthy people who have been like shaping Gotham for a century or whatever. So
of course,
yeah, it's cool. They're interesting.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to that next year. It was nice to come out of that looking at both those games going, all right,
yes,
I'm excited.
Yeah.
They look good in terms of Gotham Knights, and it does not appear to be a disaster with Suicide Squad.
They both look like the kinds of games that I think I need right now in that to have in the future, in that they are not promising some absurd thing that made my jaw drop and probably won't realize that. And they also looked good enough to be excited for.
Sure.
So it's just like, they seem like kind of solid, like those will probably be fun to play, even if they are not revolutionary, mind-blowing things.
And that I don't know, I didn't watch the Wonder Woman trailer, but that Batman trailer is pretty good.
Wonder Woman trailer was good. I still have my weird misgivings we don't have to get into here, but the Batman trailer was excellent. I love that. I thought it was great. I'm very excited for I'm really excited to go with Bruce Wayne into the city to see a marching band.
It's very God damn it. I was like, oh, Black Parade. I'm going to make a Black Parade joke. I'm like, wait, that was a Black Parade joke. I'm not a big MCR fan. I don't even think I've listened to Black Parade, the song in its entirety ever. Wow. Or any MCR song in its entirety ever. Wow. But yeah, I don't know. Just it wasn't me. Anyway. I don't know. We're on superheroes, so let's talk about the recent Avengers news on where they detailed the cosmetics and the Battle Pass stuff coming forward. I have not read this in detail, but gotten an idea of what's going on. Pat, can you break it down?
Yes. I initially had a meltdown because the Push Square headline, it's actually a pretty good article, but the Push Square headline was like, each character in Avengers will have a battle pass, which I was like, oh no.
Wasn't it like a pay for battle pass?
Yeah, a paid battle pass. Yeah. And I was like, oh no. That means that every 3 months I'm going to have to spend $60 just to get the battle passes for the base characters. But that is not what's happening. Each character has what's called a challenge card, and it is essentially a battle pass. But each character has one. You get all of them for the base characters with the game. You don't have to purchase them separately. So your $60 game purchase, because only a fool would pay $80 for that game. Certainly not me. Your $60 purchase gets you the battle passes. They call them challenge cards. I'll just keep calling them battle passes so it's not confusing for every character. And then when new characters release, you will receive the character, missions, story content, all of that for free. But then you will pay $10 if you want to get their battle pass, which, again, if you frame it around like every character has a $10 battle pass, it sounds really bad. Those characters are going to come out once every 2 to 3 months. So you're going to pay $10 once every 2 to 3 months on a new battle
allegedly.
Pass. Yeah,
we don't actually know the cadence.
Yeah, no, of course. Sorry. Yeah, that wasn't confirmed. I'm assuming that they will come out every 2 to 3 months, similarly to battle pass releases in Fortnite and Call of Duty and whatever. And you will pay $10 for their cosmetic pass if you like that character and want to level it. And, you know, at most you're going to spend on battle passes alone. At most you're going to spend is $10 every few months, like you do for any other game with battle passes. The thing about this one that actually to me makes it sound less shitty than a Call of Duty battle pass or a Fortnite battle pass is they're saying that these passes never rotate out. So once you unlock it, you have as long as you want to complete it. So you can buy the Hawkeye battle pass for $10 and then not complete it for like 3 months, because I don't know that the game's going to last that long. But otherwise, assuming it lasts longer than that, you have all the time in the world to complete it. And then on top of that, you get the currency you spent on it back when you complete it. Basically, like every few levels you get credits, 100 credits.
Yeah.
Which is pretty common in battle passes. The thing is, if you play more than one game, it can be hard to level up battle passes in other games without spending money. So it doesn't really feel like you get the credits back to buy the next pass, because you tend to use the credits to buy tiers. But since there's no time limit on this stuff in Marvel, I don't see why you would ever buy tiers. They've said that you can, but it just seems like pretty friendly. I don't know. It doesn't sound bad to me.
Well, I guess it depends on if stuff is limited to the like if it's only obtainable in the challenge card, and I guess it should be like they shouldn't have stuff that you can get.
But if you can get it forever and have forever to complete it, there's nothing. If
you want it now and don't have time to go through it, like so there's a use case for that. But I agree.
Yeah, so I don't know. It seems fine to me. I don't think there's anything really wrong with the model they've laid out, and I just hope the game finds enough of an audience that they can support its development, because I don't think that Square Enix will give it.
I think they're going to be hard on this game, like they are on all their Western developed games.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't think that's why I'm pretty confident it's not going to last that long, because I think even if it comes out and is better than people think it'll be, the perception of that game seems so crushingly negative at this point. Like I don't know anyone who's excited about it aside from Sam and I and one other friend. And even I'm willing to admit it's probably going to get fucking hammered in terms of reviews and reception.
Like I want to play it because I want to know, because I have a sickness, but also I do not think it's good based on the beta stuff that I played, and I'm not like, I should just wait. And I've got a million other games that I will probably like and I can play right now, but I'm still like, what if I don't know, I'm almost off vacation. What if I paid that $80 to play it next week before I go back to school?
Based on the beta, there is no way in hell you will hear me arguing for it for any kind of awards in 3 months or 4 months or whatever. But I think it's fun to play, and I think there's not any other service game featuring superheroes where you fight people repetitively and level up characters. Like that's the thing. Like there's nothing else better than it that is like it around right now. And I'm someone who likes those characters a lot. And frankly, given how fucked this year is, we didn't even talk about what a fucking shit week this has been.
Well, we can close out.
But anyway, like given that, I kind of need superheroes right now. And so that's why I'm willing to put up with a mediocre game to get that, because there's not another one doing that right now. So yeah. If Marvel Ultimate Alliance had been better, I think that would make me feel a lot worse about this game.
Sure.
Because it would feel bad going from a better game. But I think Avengers is still better to play than Ultimate Alliance 3 was, even though Ultimate Alliance 3 is fine and fun as well. So it's whatever. I'll have fun spending time with those characters, even if it isn't as good of a game as it could be.
Okay. Well, I hope for you it's an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident it will be. I'm confident it will be because I liked the beta, but I understand why nobody else did. So,
let's see. Next up, Jeff Keighley tried to bring the thunder. We had Gamescom Opening Night Live. They're doing an online kind of convention game showcase thing, and Keighley once again kicked off the show with a big presentation of lots of games, not as explosive or filled with new stuff as last year because COVID and it's hard to show off new stuff right now.
We're getting in it.
People just like it's not ready. It's not ready for public presentation, or things are way behind. But we did get a few interesting things. Like
not interesting for the reasons they wanted them to be, I don't think.
I mean, it depends on the thing. Like Dragon Age is still being made by BioWare, and they showed
a rough build that they showed.
Yeah,
it was very early. Like it was like, here's some like levels being designed. Yeah.
Oh,
but EA does that a lot. They'll be like, remember that one year, but like, we don't have any games. Here is just like footage of people in the studios making games.
Here's Criterion's game that they haven't even done anything with.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that video they showed for Dragon Age had the voice actors like sitting in their like kitchen.
That was cool.
Doing voiceover.
I loved that.
Yeah, no, that was
my favorite part of that whole thing.
But it was a very like insubstantial trailer.
They probably showed the build stuff that they showed so that people like us don't have the conversation that we had about Fable to say like, oh, that game doesn't even exist yet. You know, like I'm sure that they want people to know that
that game doesn't exist yet.
What, Fable or Dragon Age?
Dragon Age, like that. Yeah. What they showed was like, here's some like level concepty stuff, and like here's like, you know, it still looks like prototype stage.
That spider with hands though was fucking. I so hope that's actually in whatever game they're making.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, to be fair,
give spiders hands.
Yeah, handables, as you mentioned, but I also can't fault them because, like, as someone who does software development stuff, like, yes, the easiest thing to show someone and they can understand it is visual. Like, you show someone a website, you change something from blue to purple, that's the first thing they see. But if you show someone an API, a backend, and database stuff, like, they're going to be like, what? I can't see that. Like, that's okay. The 200 request is now a 201. Like maybe the stuff that Dragon Age has done is a lot of backend stuff. Maybe they've made their own Nemesis system or something like that, and you can't show that with the visuals yet or something.
Yeah,
like, to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's still nothing. Like it's what they chose to show was not particularly that game is very far off. Is basically my point.
Yeah.
It is. Like,
and I would bet a lot of that stuff is malleable still. Like they probably wouldn't. I don't think that I know we're saying if not that they do have this, but taking something like a Nemesis system kind of concept, even if they did have that, who's to say that they will still have that when they release the game? Yeah. You know, so like it's dangerous to say a lot of that stuff.
Who's to say BioWare will still be a studio? That's
the sad part. That's the thing I was going to say is it sounds like part of the problem too is it just sucks to work there from everything we've heard. Like
it didn't used to, but
but I mean the stories that came out after Anthem came out just sounded like that place. How I don't understand how anyone gets anything done there, given the kind of like mental, I don't know, taxation that happens there all the time. It sounds like.
And I think that. This is kind of off topic from where we were, but that seems like it's just kind of a byproduct of how popular the BioWare games got out of nowhere. Like, like Mass Effect 2 was big, Mass Effect 3 was big,
and
like Dragon Age 1 and Inquisition were big, 2 not so much.
And I think EA put a lot of pressure on them after Mass Effect to, I mean, they were churning out games pretty fast by comparison in that Mass Effect 2 to Dragon Age 2, Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3, like that was
the old
a pretty I mean that was like a concentrated period of like several years where it seemed like they were just always hammering away at something. Hopefully I know they said that there was work being done after all that stuff came out to try to reset their culture, and I hope that bore fruit and that they'll be able to make something cool with Dragon Age. Because I think that's their last shot, frankly, to do so. If they get there.
When I saw Casey Hudson, I was hoping for Anthem news. But
Anthem news, it's gonna fucking be dead.
Yeah, I'm not convinced they're doing anything with that. I bet they have a small team, but
I mean they've talked about their plans. So I would like to see that come to fruition.
I think they will continue to talk about their plans until Dragon Age hopefully comes out, and then everyone will forget about Anthem because Dragon Age is good.
That's a long time.
I know, I agree, but I don't see, because if they
can't update an existing game in the time it takes them to like fully craft a brand new game.
Well, I guess my feeling is I don't see how you update Anthem and make it interesting. I think I think you have to remake it from the ground up personally, but
I think there's mechanically they've got space, they've got stuff, but yeah, that's a whole other conversation. I still think the flying is real good, and I would fly more. I would happily play more Anthem if they like made the loot stuff and like activities better.
I would definitely check it out again. I wasn't as enamored with the flying as everybody else. I don't think. I think that's my big break point for that. With people for that is like,
break point. That's the kind of
I realize as I said it. Break point is better than Anthem. I will say that.
Yeah, probably.
The flying was cool. It was good, functional, everything. I mean, but I don't. When people were like, the flying in Anthem is so much better than the flying in Avengers, I was kind of like, they're both functional. I don't know. Neither one of them has made me go like, oh shit, this is so cool.
Well, maybe something that did make you go, oh shit, this is so cool. Star Wars and The Sims?
Hell yeah. I thought you were going to go for the other Star Wars one that involved flying.
Oh, Squadrons looks great. I don't need to see anything else about that.
There was actually a lot of Star Wars in this presentation.
But I think Star Wars and The Sims 4 is a good combination.
It's the Galaxy's Edge, like a place from Disneyland.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
Yes,
that's what they made that and put it in the game.
If what this is that's a neighborhood and you can start a sim and live in the Star Wars place and then become a bounty hunter for your job, and then your sim gets in a ship and flies away and then comes back at the end of the day, that's cool. I want that. Like taking the Sims formula and applying like weird locale. Like I was a big fan of The Sims Medieval, even though it wasn't very good, and I wanted them to do more stuff like that. Let me tell you though, the Sims community, like,
you're not happy,
yeeted this thing back in EA's face so hard that I'm surprised that the servers still work. Like, holy crap.
What specifically did they hate about it so much?
Oh, so the Sims community, and I'm not embedded in the Sims community. I like the Sims, so I kind of pay attention to what's going on there. I follow some people, but I don't do deep dives day to day.
For context, the last Sims I played was The Sims 1 on GameCube.
And it's a good that was not a very good port.
No, it was not.
Sims busting out. Now there's a good console Sims. So basically the Sims 3 was this hyper ambitious open world game, and it was largely successful. By the time they were done with it and had released all their expansions for it, it was really cool. And then with a bunch of community support, it got a bunch of mods that made it even cooler. So that existed. And then the Sims 4 is like basically took it back down to its foundation. Like it's much more like a modernized version of the Sims 2, where you are localized to your house. You can go other places, but you go to a loading screen and then you show up there. They eventually made some like lots that, like the city lots, your apartment is in the same loaded area as a park, for example, but still it is not an open world game, just not as ambitious as the Sims 3. And I'm pretty sympathetic to that, because I think they said, what do we want to do with this game to make it a discrete entry in the series rather than just an iteration? The Sims community, though, saw it as like, you're selling us a new game, you're stripping out everything that we liked and starting over. Over time, they've added a bunch of stuff to the Sims 4, but it's still not what the community has wanted compared to the Sims 3. And so the reason that people are so pissed about the Star Wars stuff is they're like, one, I assumed when I first saw this, the Venn diagram of Star Wars fans and Sims fans was overlapped pretty heavily, just because both of those circles are so huge.
Yeah.
Turns out there's not a lot of overlap. Sims fans, at least the vocal ones, don't give a fuck about Star Wars. And in a lot of cases that I saw, actively are like, why are you bringing this trash to our community? So there's that. And then also I think people feel betrayed that they're not putting stuff in that the community wants, and instead putting development time into something that they just don't want. That stuff aside, I think this looks very cool, and I will try it. And I know a lot of people, I know several people who are not embedded in that community that also said it looked awesome and really want to try it. So I think like the non-online Sims community, the Sims community that doesn't talk to each other, probably will think this is pretty cool. But
So it looks like it's not like a neighborhood you're building a house in and living in. It's like a place you visit. And like they've got characters, you got R2D2 and Kylo Ren and probably a Darth Vader and stuff like that. Hondo Onaka, I don't know who that is. Make your own lightsaber and droid. You can find kyber crystals.
If Allison's here, we would know who all these people are.
No, I know who Hondo Onaka is. Okay. Hondo Onaka is from Force Awakens, right? He's like he's a pirate. He's a weak-way,
a scoundrel, according to this.
Yeah.
Hondo Onaka and a scoundrel.
I think that's part of that might be pretty disappointing too. Like the idea that you're like gonna go to Star Wars land from your home in a relatively mundane Sims place and then come back with a sabacc table is like, I don't know about that. That sounds like something I'm not as interested in.
There's like some story stuff you can do, I guess, where you undertake challenges and special missions. But again, it's the goddamn problem with Star Wars, like marketing, where everything is pick a side. So it's Resistance, the First Order, and I guess the Scoundrels are fighting. So you can like, your choices will tip the balance of power. And so we don't need to get super into it, but the whole like rebels or the fascists, which one do you support? And
yeah. No,
really?
I know.
Are we
doing
this?
It's getting into that, like, it's something that I'm struggling with a lot recently to try to articulate in a way that doesn't make it seem like I don't care, but it's also like it's been a shit year, and I just sometimes it's okay for a thing to be fantasy, I think, as long as you're educated on the ways in which it's probably not okay to call yourself a stormtrooper and be excited about a fascist fictional thing. But I don't know. I think what's depressing to me is there is such a cool game in there where you're playing The Sims, but your house is a spaceship and you're building onto it and modifying it and getting new shit for it. And you're traveling around to different Star Wars locations and like goofy sim stuff, and also doing some of their adventure gaming stuff they've been working on. But like, it's all taking place in Star Wars, and maybe that's a whole separate game, but that to me is so much more cool than what this sounds like. And I think it's too bad that they're not, that's just not going to happen.
Cross marketing inception. With the fact that it's the Galaxy's Edge theme park.
It's cross marketing that you will pay for too, because this is not going to be added for free. So that's kind of disappointing. But I'll probably check it out still, because I like The Sims and I like Star Wars. So even though I think it'll probably be kind of disappointing, I mean,
well,
I doubt it will be priced at their expansion tier. Maybe it will be, but
it's because with like, if it's got like story stuff that you can do and all that.
Yeah, but they've done that. It sounds like content wise, it is comparable in size to their like Wizard pack and their like their Jungle Adventure pack and their Strangerville pack. All of those are they're called game packs. So they're like $20-$25 packs that are not full expansions, because they don't add new mechanics, and then the expansions add the whole new mechanics. So
this adds lightsabers. Like, come on.
We'll see where it lands. It may be because of the Star Wars tax.
What if you take your lightsaber back to your house, and then like your sim is just like goofing around and then cuts a hole in the wall and hits an electrical socket?
I'm sure that
lights it on fire.
You'll probably light your house on fire with a lightsaber, or a friend will come over and do it. For sure.
Or kill your friend with a lightsaber.
Yeah, I am positive that will happen.
Let's see. Fall Guys Season 2 had some stuff revealed, like teased, got some new maps, new skins. Battle Pass will be free, so that's neat.
Yeah, that's good.
It's something I'll check in on for the new levels, but it doesn't look like it's going to drastically change the game. But like the way you'll interact with those new maps will be different.
Yeah,
at least.
The one thing that looked cool as like a new mechanic was the way that you pull stuff around Like they were pulling like ramps and stuff around to have to try to get things. That's kind of neat. That's a different. Yeah. There's nothing like that on the maps as it exists now. So
I'm using a bit more of the physics stuff on the grab mechanic. Star Wars stuff, the Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker saga.
People have been sleeping on that game. Clearly, that game is so exciting. I cannot wait for that.
Well, I had not even realized that they were making it until this event, and then I immediately thought like, oh, this is Lego Star Wars 1 through 7, because they've made 1 through 7, and then they just added 8 and 9, and it's like, it's a remaster and then like 2 new games, but it's not. It's a whole new.
For a while, right?
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's been.
Well, I assumed that it was just the same bullshit.
2 to 3 years that's been in the works, and it is a ground up, totally new game. It is not even related really to those past Lego Star Wars games. There is no content from them in it, from what I understand. There will probably be content that looks kind of similar visually, because
I mean, it's all based on the same stuff.
Exactly, telling the same story. But I mean, it is a behind the back third person action RPG, emphasis on the action. There are like skill trees and stuff from what I understand, and like character progression. It still has tons of characters to play as, but they and they still kind of fit the archetypes the way Lego does it, where they'll have like 80 characters, but there's like really like 6 or 7 different ones. But yeah, it's also like they say semi-open world. My understanding from it though was it's like you are in your spaceship and you fly around, and then you pick a planet to go to, and then when you land there, you're on an open world zone on that planet. So it's pretty open world. And I don't know how they handle that with like time stuff, because obviously it takes place over like whatever 60 years or something, 70 years. So it's a wide time frame, but yeah, it's supposed to be good. And from what they had a preview event where some people played the combat earlier on in its development, and the stuff I was hearing is that the combat is not like simple mash the buttons Lego combat. It's like more like a God of War or kind of Arkham, like Rocksteady style, like grown up game with counters and combos and dodges and stuff like that. So
that's cool.
Sounds very cool. Very, very cool.
They got first person pod racing in there.
Yep. It's got a lot of vehicle stuff from what I understand, like dogfighting and pod racing. And
what if this game just totally roasts the Rise of Skywalker? Because like, those games are pretty irreverent. So they're just like the whole time. Maybe it could improve Rise of Skywalker.
So I think it will, because part of the reason that Rise of Skywalker is so bad is because it's so dumb and the characters are not aware of how dumb the thing they are in is. And instead they just play it straight the whole time. So I think some Lego irreverence thrown in there would make that story a lot more palatable to me anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll just have a little J.J. Abrams dude in there, and let's occasionally just kind of kick him around.
He's just like shining a flashlight at the camera. There was a lot of stuff in here. I don't remember everything.
Yeah,
but but not everything was like super noteworthy. 12 minutes has Willem Dafoe, James McAvoy, and Daisy Ridley as a cast.
What a cast! That's cool.
Which is, well, like I don't know what the team is, but it's like this game's been kicking around for a few years, and I'm excited to play it. But it's coming. It's a launch game for the Xbox Series X, I believe.
Funny to think of that game as a launch game.
That's when it's coming out, or it'll be out for launch.
That's the launch game.
Yeah, that is the launch game. They showed Respawn showed Medal of Honor Above and Beyond the Call of Duty.
They've used that. Like they used that in what was that other Medal of Honor? The one
Airborne?
With the beard. The one with the beard.
Oh, the Tier 1 Operators one.
Yeah, they used Above and Beyond in the marketing for that.
Yes, that game was I think that was just called Medal of Honor. I think that was their like.
Yeah.
Well, there was
that was their
Medal of Honor Warfighter after that, I think.
Yes,
right?
but that was I think they just called the one that they marketed heavily with the beard tech as just Medal of Honor, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, so
that
like
game was not good.
It's not even an original joke, so it's like,
Yeah.
Medal of Honor actually does look like a thing I want to play, which I'm surprised by for a game called Medal of Honor in 2020. But it's a VR game only, I believe, and
I don't know that it was only.
Yeah, it is. It's only on Quest and Rift.
Because they used the language to say like there are specific things you can do in VR, and it was. I
think the implication was that they've got modes that like are only possible because of VR and not VR exclusive modes. Like, so they've made like, you could make a Medal of Honor game that is basically what this game is, but not have, but not have it be in VR, and it'll basically be the exact same thing, but it's a VR game. And then they've got additional modes that are only possible because of VR is how I think it is, because like it's very specific. Like that game looks like a VR game.
Yeah, the only platforms they showed at the end of the trailer were the Oculus Quest and the Oculus Rift.
Well, of course, but it's paid for by a Facebook virtual reality labs.
Right. So but I guess what I mean is
you can play that on like the Index and stuff.
They have
through like there's like middleware that you can use to do that
through
stuff.
middleware for sure. You have to. What I'm saying is that game will only be purchasable through the Facebook Reality Labs store. It will not be on Steam. You will have to go through it. Yes, that is how that Asgard's Wrath game works.
Okay.
That's how like games that is it Sucker Punch has made a couple VR games. There's a major studio. Right. Those are only available that they're exclusive to the Oculus platform.
Yeah, they aren't down with like the cross-platform stuff. So, but it's not like impossible.
You're right.
Do that stuff cross-platform. So.
They're definitely not going to be like, and there's nothing on those platforms that you can play without a VR headset of some kind. So, I would be surprised if it comes out that you can also. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe like they have a deal where a year later they can make a non-VR version of it, but I would be surprised if it's comes anywhere.
I think part of the VR stuff with games is if it's a game specifically designed for VR, there's no point in making a non-VR version of it because you'd lose so much of what makes it interesting.
It'll be interesting to see. Oh, sorry. No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm looking at articles about this. Medal of Honor Above and Beyond was not initially planned to be a VR game, but the developers pivoted to Oculus Rift after meeting and discussing the game with Facebook executives.
Yeah.
So they got pushed into making it VR, which I find interesting.
Give me Titanfall 3 in VR.
Yeah. Give me Titanfall 3.
I mean, give me Titanfall 3 on console, but I would play give me a Titanfall game and like a high budget VR thing, and also Titanfall 3.
Hang out inside BT or something. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
What
Steel Battalion in VR.
It uses smooth locomotion. Medal of Honor does, which will be interesting for people to deal with. Apparently, that is the only way that you can move around.
That's interesting.
At least in the multiplayer, it's the only way that you can move around. I don't know. Maybe they'll have more methods in the single player.
Yeah, otherwise, you're just teleporting.
I'd have to look into it more. I don't want to say definitively. From what I was reading, it sounds like you will not be teleporting. You will be sliding around, and that is the way you will move. But who knows? Maybe they'll.
They definitely showed that in the trailer. But
I was just gonna say for multiplayer that makes sense because having people just teleporting around would be really
doesn't work. Smooth locomotion. It's like, if you can handle it and if you can get there in VR to be able to use it, it's like it blows the doors off of the kind of games you can play in VR. Because like once I hit that point where I could do smooth locomotion, I was like, oh wow, okay, so like these games are way more interesting to me now. But it also, I had to basically just be nauseous playing for a couple hours to be able to kind of get there. And kind of teach my brain how to deal with that.
Well, let's see. A couple more things real quick. Doom Eternal is getting some story DLC. So I don't know, I guess, sure. It's like part 2 or the part 1 is coming out in October. Don't know when anything else is coming out. It didn't like super do anything for me. That game's fine.
Yeah. That
we got
at best.
Bridge Constructor The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like
what?
I don't know.
Like I don't know why the Bridge Constructor game. Like I guess they're popular. I'm not sure why they're so popular. I guess they're puzzle games. Puzzle games are what? Yeah, they did Portal Bridge Constructor.
Yeah.
That was a few years ago. So yeah, they're doing another one, The Walking Dead.
Okay.
Go figure. Looks
sure.
It looks like it might be based on like the TV stuff, because it looks like they've got like the TV likenesses in here with like what's his name? He was Sam Porter Bridges.
Cranks his hog.
Yeah, cranks his hog. I don't think he'll be cranking his hog in Bridge Constructor The Walking Dead, but let's see.
That announcement is one of the strangest things I think I've ever seen.
I was like, is this like Left 4 Dead 3 or that, because Out for Blood or whatever the that team is making? They're like making a new one of those, but apparently not. But I think the big thing from this event that was kind of the thing that was most substantial. Oh, they had Dr. Emmett Brown from Back to the Future showed up to talk about Surgeon Simulator 2 and say it's out. How bizarre.
That's so weird.
Didn't they also have
why? What?
They also had WoW, didn't
Oh yeah, they had the WoW thing. Oh, whatever.
The WoW
that was
thing
a bad thing to show.
Yeah, it was. It's really cool as someone who's been kind of back into WoW a little bit this year. Like, I'm pretty excited for that expansion.
Warcraft 3, I went, oh, okay.
Yeah, and that expansion sounds like I will not get into it here. That expansion sounds really cool and basically like WoW 2 in a lot of ways. But
I heard
that was like
ray tracing.
That was an ultra. Did they?
Really?
Is that a joke or is that real?
No. I believe they're putting ray tracing.
That's fucking rad. Anyway, I had not heard that. That was like a 6 or 7 minute long animated short that was steeped in lore that you would only understand if you currently are playing World of Warcraft. Why would you show that there? Because then they showed a cool trailer. Just like show the. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, that was a bizarre thing to show with that, but
you could have taken that 6 minutes. One of the cool features of the new expansion is it has like a whole roguelike dungeon where you can basically just play World of Warcraft as a roguelike where you're hitting a dungeon over and over again and like getting new shit to progress further in the dungeon. Take 6 minutes to explain that. The thing's it's out in like a month and a half. It's been in beta now for a while. So like that content exists. It's built. It's done. So it's just weird that they went with, no, let's show the 6 minute long animated film that was cool, but not for general consumption.
Now, finally, the thing that we were all waiting for. They showed Ratchet and Clank gameplay. Like actual in motion, the stuff they showed in the announcement trailer was gameplay, but it was very much just an on rails thing. So you couldn't really tell much from it. But hey, that's a Ratchet and Clank game.
Yep.
What got some nice visuals, some SSD enhanced stuff that lets it load things fast.
Whenever they said the power of the SSD, it just made me roll my eyes, but also I don't know how else you say it, but also it's so dumb.
Unlimited power
with the power of light bulbs. It's just like, it's shit that's been around for a long time, so it's just funny to me that it's
yeah, exactly. SSDs are not new.
It's like,
but
we've uncovered new technology. We're putting games on cassettes.
back to cartridges. But so it was a chance for them to show what that game looks like. It looks good. It looks like a Ratchet and Clank game though. So
It looks expensive.
it does look. I think those games have, at least since like the PS3, have always looked pretty expensive. Like they've done a lot with like they look good.
And Insomniac is a money-making studio, so if anyone is pulling in the budgets, I would assume it is Insomniac.
And they're kind of bolstering the launch window, at least, of the PlayStation 5.
They are making
Spider-Man, Ratchet and Clank, which they said is launch window. Well, what that actually means is anyone's guess. I would assume like 6 months.
Yeah, spring 2021 is when I think they're targeting Ratchet.
But
I
hey,
bet it
that's
gets delayed.
totally fine.
Yep, that's why I say targeting.
Yeah. I would say like before next summer but we'll see.
You would hope. One would hope.
Yeah. But if it takes them longer, I think those Ratchet. I love the Ratchet and Clank games. I think they're real fun, so I'll definitely play that.
If what I would do if I were them is, I'm not saying they won't, and I don't know as much about their studio as they do, so this is a total armchair statement, but it would be cool if they like did a little bit of work to
put
the
Spider-Man
reboot
in Ratchet and Clank.
Well, yeah, but that Ratchet reboot, I think a lot of people skipped it. I know I didn't play it. It would be cool if they were like, hey, we did a pass on this and it's going to look real pretty on a PS5. Not like a remaster or like a
go watch the movie, please.
But if they just like took a pass at the PS, because I assume that this game will be a sequel to that game.
No,
it's not.
They said it's a sequel to Into the Nexus, which was the PS3 game from
that.
2013. No, 2013. I don't know.
They said that during the interview at the end.
Guess I got to go play like 8 Ratchet games before I play this one.
Because the most recent one was a reboot of the first game,
right? And I assume that this
and
was
that was just because they made a movie.
That's
so
depressing.
So this is continuing the original story.
God, that story. Okay.
which is long running and
has been off the rails for like 4 games.
Whatever, man. I'm into it. I mean, the game looks great. So. Like it doesn't really matter.
No.
In terms of, I mean, maybe they'll get back into Clank being some sort of time god, but I don't know.
Yeah, that did happen, didn't it?
Alex, what did you think of the power of the SSD?
It's pretty powerful.
Did that?
I don't know.
Did anything in there stand out to you? You were talking about how it looked expensive and stuff, but I like the main stuff they showed off seemed to be stuff that was already shown before, with like the weird like tether thing where you kind of pull yourself through like a warp hole, or you load between the different zones kind of quickly.
Yeah. A lot of what they showed with the previous trailer. What was that? What event was that? I can't even remember.
That was the reveal.
It was a reveal
in like July.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it was
July,
like June, but yeah.
So when they showed it then, there was a lot of cuts and there was a lot of what looked to be pre-rendered. Like it looked like this is what we're aiming for rather than gameplay. And then today, or not today, but the recent event was just like, oh yeah, this is 100% gameplay, no cuts. Just this is what you'll get out of the box. So it looked less like they're fudging it.
But a lot of what was in there was in that initial trailer they showed.
Yeah, for sure. So that kind of recontextualized it. And when they show the crew swapping between the different, I don't know, rifts, the different locales where they're going into completely different environments.
Different worlds.
And all of those worlds are huge and have lots of stuff and lots of detail. Like that is something that you cannot do on modern consoles for sure.
No.
Or PC. So that was really interesting. Other than that, it looks good, but like technologically, I think that was the most interesting part.
Yes, definitely.
This is kind of tangential to this conversation but related. Like I'm weirdly, the thing that I am now pretty sold on a PS5 for is that controller, because of that stuff. That there were those. I actually only heard about them through Giant Bomb. I think talked about it on a podcast. But the stuff that it's the like when you're playing Spider-Man and you get like haptics in the controller to kind of recreate spider sense and stuff, and like
it's like, oh, there's danger coming from this direction.
Yeah,
so the right side of my controller is vibrating.
And as it relates to Ratchet, they talked about like if you're using like a shotgun, for example, there's a light pull on the trigger, but then you can fire the second barrel by pulling through the halfway point where there's like heavier resistance. That stuff to me is, when you combine that with what you're saying, Alex, with this, like you can't really do that kind of huge zones streaming in like that. Yeah. I'm much more sold on this thing now based on those things, because those are things that are not a visual upgrade. Those are like that's new gameplay. That's stuff you just can't do now. And so that's exciting to the extent that like I was super sold on playing Deathloop on PC because I much prefer mouse and keyboard for shooters, but it sounds like the stuff they do with the controller in that game on PS5 might make it actually worth sticking it out with a controller to play it there. So
that's the frustrating thing with Sony is they won't do like good PC drivers or any PC drivers for the controller. Probably. Hopefully third parties will be able to get that stuff working. And because if it's like fan, maybe it would be awesome if that was like a thing, or if they could just detect PS4 controller and we're going to make all the stuff work. But I think Sony has done.
What was the name of that Motion Joy or whatever? Like before there was official PS4 stuff. Like people were making.
There's unofficial, but that like emulates it as an Xbox 360 controller. Yeah, and like Steam has a PS4 thing, but some games don't like recognize it as a PS. There's like, this is an Xbox controller, or we only have like the Xbox buttons and stuff. Yep. But if they program it in to say, hey, if you got a PS5 controller, we'll do all the PS5 like stuff with the haptics and the triggers and whatnot, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah,
I saw a lot more controllers that way.
For sure.
Like that paired with like the Ratchet demo is just once again reinforcing my belief that Sony is actually showing why there is a PS5, whereas Microsoft has not explained why there is an Xbox One or Xbox Series X, other than it's the most powerful console ever. But
I mean, I think that's
why is it the most? Why is it the most powerful?
Because it has to be. Because they have to put a box out that says that, and like
which is just the boring and not satisfactory. Not interesting.
What I will say is, it is boring and not interesting until people go to play Call of Duty on console and it runs like shit on PS5 and plays well on Xbox. And I'm not saying I assume that will happen, but that has been the rumor going around, is that third parties are still trying to wrap their heads around how to make stuff play nice with aspects of the PlayStation 5. It is not a cell processor thing. That is a way people are making that comparison, and that's not accurate. But
I don't think that issue will exist with Call of Duty, because that's maybe not. They've got the marketing deal there, and Sony is going to make sure that works. Also,
I don't know.
Is the next gen update on Call of Duty is with the standard edition only for the PlayStation 4 or the PlayStation version, not the Xbox.
I know.
version.
But they've also got a marketing deal with Marvel or with Square Enix for Marvel's Avengers, and that game runs like shit on a PS4. So
I mean, I didn't check the Xbox, but I assume it runs bad on there too.
I didn't. I don't know. I didn't hear that much from people playing it there. But anyway, the point just being, it'll be interesting to see how games run on both of those platforms for sure. Hopefully, it won't matter, because it's always just better if it doesn't matter. But and I also think I saw some people talking about how like. One, I hate Sony versus Microsoft stuff anyway, as has been documented. But I saw people talking about how like Microsoft doesn't have anything, which is true. To be clear, there's no launch games for the PS5 either. Like,
yeah, neither one has detailed a launch lineup that is compelling.
Miles but hopefully within a month or two of it coming out. But
I believe that is the launch a launch game.
I was looking into it. They haven't said, and if they haven't said by now, all they have said is holiday 2020 for Miles. So I would not be shocked if that comes out a few weeks after the console. So you know,
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Rumored date is November 13th or November 20th for the PlayStation, and maybe the 13th for the Xbox, or like the 6th even, which is pretty early, but we'll see. Still waiting on price.
It does not seem like there is if your goal is to play next generation video games, it does not seem like there is a reason to purchase either of these boxes in 2020, at least. Now, whether
Outriders,
I am not going to play those games on a PlayStation.
But you might not. But
people will. Other people will for sure. But I don't know. I don't think those are going to be compelling reasons to buy a new box.
We'll see. Yeah, definitely. PS5 news continuing. It's going to use Wi-Fi 6 probably. Maybe, I don't know. That would make sense. Next gen console, next gen Wi-Fi, baby.
I think that's actually pretty big news.
Yeah, I don't know why it is. I don't know really anything about Wi-Fi 6, so
it's better. It's one more.
It doesn't exist with any current routers, so they're actually trying to move things forward and be fairly forward thinking.
Doesn't it exist with some? Like, I mean, they're few and far between, but most people, like the router you have, most people does not have Wi-Fi 6. You can go and buy a Wi-Fi 6 router, but they're expensive.
Yeah, like you can get a bridge that can provide Wi-Fi 6 and stuff like that, but like it's just not prevalent, and it's going to solve a lot of problems that are inherent with current Wi-Fi on current consoles and laptops and stuff like that too. Where like if you are in a zone, like let's say you live in an apartment and there's multiple Wi-Fi signals around you, you're going to get interference. Like there's no way around that.
Yeah.
Whether you're using 2G or 5G doesn't matter. Like you're going to get interference, but Wi-Fi 6, without getting into technical details, will alleviate a lot of that. So that means you can get pretty much Ethernet speeds out of Wi-Fi, which is really big.
And you also need a device that is compatible with Wi-Fi 6, which they aren't all. Like most phones right now are not compatible with Wi-Fi 6.
They're not.
Like you can get laptops with Wi-Fi 6. Like I was just doing a lot of laptop shopping, and you can like a high-end like Ultrabooks and stuff. You can get Wi-Fi 6, but MacBook Pro no Wi-Fi 6.
Yeah, like it's the kind of thing that will be a standard probably in like 5 years. So it's good that they're forward thinking with that.
Yeah. So if you're buying a new router right now, maybe look for Wi-Fi 6, but they're also expensive. So
just wait for next year's models.
Do you get one of those UFO looking routers with all the fins and stuff? Look like a Star Wars ship.
Build your own router.
Does it have Wi-Fi 6?
It can. I can just add another access point that has Wi-Fi 6.
Okay. Well, let's see. We're almost to 3 hours. How do we do this?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's knock out the shitty news real quick. Just as quick as we can while being respectful, and then we can get some better news to close out. Lab Zero, the developers of Indivisible and the Skullgirls fighting game, has just had an exodus of employees over one of the studio head, the CEO. I'm not sure about his exact
creative director, I believe.
Creative director Mike Zymont, apparently being, quote, a massive shithead from our document here, and reports about the whole thing being an unsafe work environment, not good. There was a lot of stuff on social media going around, people sharing personal stories and leaving the studio. And then a bunch of their publishing and development partners went, we're not partnering with Lab Zero anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, bad scene.
I don't know if we need to talk about that much. I think it's more, if you want to read the accounts of those, like it's probably more worth reading the accounts of those who wrote like the things rather than us trying to recount it and TLDR it.
Yeah.
Because it's the stuff that is detailed in there is pretty egregiously gross.
Yep.
And hopefully this guy ends up
Zero,
out. Well, fuck the guy, not the people who were working there.
No,
but the things that allowed this. Yeah, the thing that allowed this to happen, because apparently there was talk about him leaving, but then that got like walked back and stuff like that. So then people started to leave the studio, and all this happened. Hopefully, there's like actual consequence. I didn't get super deep into the accusations and all the stuff, but it doesn't turn into him starting another studio somewhere or walking into another studio and doing the same stuff again. Like there's actual professional, like, no, you're not fit for this because you're toxic or whatever, but we'll see. That doesn't always happen in the gaming space. All right. Well, earlier I mentioned Left 4 Dead, but Left 4 Dead 2 got an update.
Yeah. This is cool.
What? The Last Stand? I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, so apparently it's like largely community created content actually that's just been polished up by Valve, to my understanding.
Okay. Sure.
But it's also apparently supposed to be like a really big update. I haven't looked at the details of everything, but I think it has like at least a new scenario, if not multiple. And like also some quality of life kind of improvements. I haven't read too deep into it.
It is not surprising, but just wild that there's a community still churning out content for Left 4 Dead 2, which is a game that I feel like I haven't really thought about from a playing it perspective in a very long time.
Bring it full circle back to the beginning of the podcast where I said I was Bubbles for Halloween one year. I then turned a picture of me as Bubbles into a holiday avatar where I MS painted like a Mrs. Claus outfit on me. And then I won a copy of Left 4 Dead 2 from the gaming community I was part of.
I was wondering how you were going to tie all that back.
I was waiting.
And it was, I MS painted ho 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 boys, I've been naughty. And
How old were you?
Like 14, 15. Everyone thought it was much older because my voice was very low, and one person said you sound like a 40-year-old man with your balls on the floor when I said I was 13.
Whoa.
I was like, damn.
Wait, how many years old
when you're 14, 40-year-old man, I think.
40. I thought you said 30. I was like, oh shit.
No. Yeah, you're behind. Anyway, so a big community update. Val official update, but community created content. That's neat.
I think it's also sets a pretty cool precedent. Like if they can start doing that for other games where communities are making like interesting content and then they put it out officially.
I mean, I think haven't they done that with like TF2? But I mean, like outside of the hat stuff, like map stuff.
I was gonna say, like definitely with Dota and stuff. Like the community creators make most of the aesthetic kind of stuff.
Yeah, but because when I was playing TF2, so much of like so many good maps were made by the community and like custom maps. So like it would be, I don't know, it makes sense if they were like, yeah, these maps are real good, like community created stuff. We're going to roll it into the official stuff so everyone plays them.
You don't, I mean, they don't really have to, because the way it works is it just downloads the map for you when you join the server. So they don't really have to package it, really.
Yeah, but with that, maybe it's different, but yeah. All right, well, last news story that we can almost wrap up. We got Nintendo Partner Direct dropped on Thursday, out of nowhere.
Yeah,
just They're just like, there were some rumors about like maybe Friday there's going to be some Nintendo news. And then Nintendo's like, hey, Wednesday, slap. Here's a Nintendo Direct. Partner showcase, not a full big first party direct. This was all like publishing partners and stuff like that. I scrolled through it real quick, like scrubbed through. I was like, oh, there's nothing here for me. Kingdom Hearts coming to Switch, the Melody of Memory or whatever it's called. Puyo Puyo Tetris 2.
Yeah. I'm down for some Puyo.
I just don't know why I should buy. I didn't watch the thing, but I've got Puyo Puyo Tetris 1. Why would I need 2?
Because 2.
I need to know this. I need to follow the story and find out what's happening to those characters who I definitely know all about.
Dr. Dog.
Because I definitely played all of Puyo Puyo Tetris.
I played it in Japanese at a time when I did not speak any Japanese because I imported it.
That sounds like a miserable experience.
So I had no idea what was going on with that story, but the Puyo Puyo and the Tetris were both fun.
Yeah. Let's see. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles on the Switch. Game. Maybe no.
Yeah.
No, that was a very sarcastic one. All right, so I'm looking at OpenCritic. What do you think the average critic rating is?
The average critic rating, I'm going to guess, is like a 6.
I'm going to guess it's a 55.
It is 64.
Oh.
So a bit
that's not so bad.
But what percentage of critics do you think recommend it?
32%.
40.
18.
Whoa.
Wow.
I mean, that game was never good. There's like, it has the same problem that stuff like Ultimate Alliance has, which Ultimate Alliance is better than Crystal Chronicles, but they're mediocre games, but they were really fun because you sat on a couch next to people you cared about and played them together. And that's
can't do that with this game.
No. And that's an experience that elevates mediocre games and makes people remember them as like, oh, that was so great. What a great game. When it was not. But since you can't even do that with this game,
what are we doing?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. World of Tanks Blitz is coming to the Switch.
Fuck yeah. What?
Let's see. Taiko no Tatsujin Rhythmic Adventure Pack. 2 games from the Taiko no Tatsujin series make their way to Nintendo Switch in one collection. There's like this is an RPG.
Yeah, it's too bad we don't have Allison here. She would be psyched.
We can't do this.
What? Sounds like Pokemon.
Deep dive on
Tatsujin. Like what?
Tatsujin. That sounds cool, I'll say.
Well, we'll get to another music game in just a minute. Collection of Saga Final Fantasy Legend. You got the Game Boy versions of Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3 coming to the Switch.
That's sick. Those are cool games.
Let's see, that Captain Tsubasa anime soccer game on Switch.
Seems like that story is interesting.
Austin Walker on Waypoint Radio sold me on this game. I'm gonna wait till it's like on sale, and apparently the PC port is a hot mess, so don't play it there. But I am intrigued, and like even the first trailer had me like interested, and then I've heard and seen multiple people compare it to Dragon Ball Z, but about soccer, and so that I'm like, oh, okay, sure.
So it's
so I'm into it,
but soccer.
Maybe. Well, no, that's Dragon Ball. There's like a distinct difference. But anyway, there's less pig in Dragon Ball Z. Anyway, so the last game is Fuser, is from Harmonix. And it's a non-stop digital music festival. It seems like it's kind of drop mix, but
it is
an
drop
actual
mix.
Video game.
I watched stuff for this game. I forgot that's what that was called. As someone who played a decent amount of drop mix, I bought several packs of those cards and played it a bunch of times. This game is drop mix. Mechanically, it is identical to drop mix.
It's interesting that they changed the name for the digital version.
Drop mix did not do well.
Yeah.
And also I think that they don't want people who bought drop mix to go Oh, so all this physical shit I bought is useless now. So that's why they changed the name, but it's the same thing.
Maybe, yeah.
Conceptually. And it's
So,
the way it should be delivered too, because Drop Mix was really cool, but like the only thing worse than pulling your Switch out at a rooftop party to play 2K is if you were like, in my backpack, I have a bunch of cards and this physical board that will put my iPad on. Does everyone want to sit around and put cards on it and make cool music happen? Like, people will just tell you you're a fucking nerd.
And then they all blow away.
Any more beer?
They all blow away in the wind from your rooftop party.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
anyway, Fuser doesn't look like a game to me, but we'll see.
Like, I don't see how Drop Mix is a game either. Yeah, exactly.
There was at least a back and forth that you scored point. I mean, Drop Mix was a simple game, but it was a game. This is like, to me, this is like a remixing tool, but it doesn't look like it has
for Generation Remix.
Well, it doesn't look like it has the control that you would want to make it a cool, like, actual creative tool. Like, it doesn't have the depth for that, but it doesn't have enough of a game behind it to make it something that people would want to play for fun. I don't know. We'll see. All
right. Well, I think that's going to do it for news this week.
I think so. That Wii that got shoved into like a Game Boy shell.
That's just cool. You should just Google that.
Yeah, you should Google it.
Yeah, awesome. Boy, they really fuck up a Wii.
What do they call it? Wii Boy Color or something like that?
And it's like the G Boy.
Wii Boy Color is separate. This is like an almost unofficial thing. Well, not official, but like it is a fan made thing. But it's real crazy.
Yeah.
You should also look up in the same vein, the extremely tiny iMac that someone made out of a Raspberry Pi, that they fucked up a Raspberry Pi and squeezed it into. I mean, it's like very, very tiny. It's wild.
Okay. Well, that is going to do it for this episode. Oh, no, wait. We do want to say, stand with all the folks protesting the shooting. I can't remember the place. Jacob Blake
in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Yes. Okay. There we go.
And then
all the horrible shit that's been going on with the protests and like the violent responses to those protests. Just there's no place for that shit. And, don't let people uplift the people doing violent shit. But it's kind of disgusting, some of the discourse and things going around about that kid, like kind of valorizing him.
They're full-on fascists operating in the media, and that's not even a radical thing to say at this point. So be very careful about the information you consume surrounding what is a two murders by a right-wing extremist white supremacist. That is what occurred in Kenosha.
As well, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman, gone far too soon. Incredible actor. Meant a lot to many people, far more than I could ever understand, with his personal impact on the lives of many people of color. Fuck cancer, man.
Yep.
So yeah, that's going to do it for episode 136 of the Gaming Fyx podcast on August 29th, 2020. I have been your host, Andre Cole, aka your partner's favorite foolish samurai wielding a magic sword. Remember the beginning of this podcast?
No.
God, so long ago.
You can find me on Twitter at Coolslaw, COOLSL4W. Or if you head over to like the Super GG Radio YouTube channel, you can find me playing Video Game Jeopardy with Dave Makes, creator of Mixolumia, and James HF Jr., a comedian from the Chicago area. No spoilers, but
it was a fun show.
Yeah, I had a good time.
There was
PlayStation 3. I don't know.
There's some moments of pain, and there's some bullshit. I need to talk about some bullshit with a lot of people involved in that production and participating in it.
The real driving simulator.
Oh God. There's a lot of things I'm angry about. I need to corner Alex Arona and convince him to let me be on the show so I can represent this is not a spoiler, represent the larger gaming community with more respectably than what occurred on that show.
Hey, I'm sorry I don't know about Sega Visions magazine.
No, that's one of the problems, is there's way too much Sega shit in there. Get that shit out of there.
Well, yeah, go to Super GG Radio YouTube channel. I don't know when exactly that'll be up. It might be up now. It should be up soon. Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah,
that was a
great show. Alex did a great job putting it together and stuff. Alex, Alex Arona, other Alex.
It was for the first time, so plenty of kinks to work out. He knows that the second round is supposed to have double points, but it didn't happen. Kink shaming, though. That could have had a very different outcome if that second round had different point values. Who knows?
Yes, very much so.
Maybe it'll have to be a rematch. Alex, Pat, where can people find you?
You can find me at PJC Plays, and hopefully I'll be streaming tomorrow on our Twitch channel. If you hear this today, Saturday, August 29th.
All right.
Episode 1.
And Alex.
I have written out the full first episode of Coding Fyx. That is ready.
Oh.
That will be recorded. I'm planning on recording a couple episodes of it first. So
are you just like monologuing? You got a guest in mind? You got what
part of it will be monologuing, and then I have a couple guests potentially lined up. Potentially. Okay. It's not set up yet.
I used to be a hater of the monologue one person podcast, but Khalif over at Spawn on Me does a kick-ass job with that format. So I believe in you and that it can be done.
Yes, and this is very scripted. It is not. It is not as meandering.
It's informational.
It's less some other podcasts that show up on our feed.
Look, there was a lot to talk about in that Final Fantasy VII spoiler cast.
Speaking of meandering, I'm also on the Damage Boost podcast coming up in like 2 weeks.
I gotta reach out to them.
I don't know. That's where I yell about the Yakuza for an hour and then we go on tangents about other stuff. But yeah, it was a good time, and people should listen to that because it's a fun show. Brock's a good host, very personable, very easy to talk to. I think that's it, everybody. We did it.
We did it. We
Stay
broke
wet,
3
gamers.
hours. Wow. We never did. It's a new milestone.
And never before done.
This is the last week we can do it too, right? Because
one small step for podcasts, one small step for Gaming Fyx, one giant leap for podcasts. There we go.
We just got to do a Gaming Fyx games cast and a Gaming Fyx newscast, and then
that's we definitely have time to do 2 podcasts.
Just put 2-hour podcasts out instead of 1 3-hour.
Even better.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
We break it up even more to each individual game and each individual line item. So basically, we put out 70 podcasts every week.
We put out 6 individual podcasts where we all just monologue for 3 hours each.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But you have to predictive pauses. So I say, Alex, what do you think about that? Pause for a while.
Then you have to piece together the podcasts.
Yes. Okay. But they're all recorded simultaneously, separately. So,
and it's choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
So you
naturally
choose the reactions to whatever is talking.
And we'll be launching it with an app.
Choose your own adventure podcast. For option A, skip ahead to 2642. For option B, skip ahead to 4837.
I think we're just announcing we're doing a visual novel in audiobook form. Look forward to that coming 2022.
Delayed to 2023.
Delayed to never actually happening.
Stay wet, gamers.
Oh,
That's the
every
title.
week. It's been the title.
That's the sign off. That's the sign off.
That's from now on.
That's my fuck capitalism, go home.
Yeah. One of those has a lot more substance than the other one.
You know, sometimes it's something like stay wet, gamers. You can't like workshop it too much. It just comes to you, and you know. No offense to Waypoint Radio, you know, fuck capitalism, go home. It's all right, but it's no stay wet, gamers.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.